Hello everybody and welcome to the Shadowcasters Network. Tonight we are doing Session 0 Part 2 of Leverage, the tabletop RPG based on the TV show Leverage. How is everyone doing tonight?
Wonderfully.
Chat, let us know how you're doing. So you'll notice that we have some changes. First, we can see Sabrina. Hey!
Yay!
And hear her. And
I made
also, yeah, welcome. And so that's good because now we actually get to like play with the hacker. And yeah, and also we have Bub joining us to replace Paige, who unfortunately had to leave the game. However, Bub is awesome. Bub, tell us about yourself for those of us here on the Shadowcasters Network who don't know who you are.
I am now on the spot, but that's okay. Used to doing that. I am a tabletop streamer on Twitch. I've been doing it for a while now. Lots of variety gaming. This year I just decided that I'm going to branch out and try to meet with a lot of new people. And Shadowcasters has always been on my radar. Especially after I met with you guys at Gen Con, I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be. I want to be with this group and doing big things.
Yeah. That was a fun time.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah, I know. We've basically been like in talks for a year. I think around the same time. Yeah, pretty much. No, yeah, we've always been like, hey, are you available for this? Nope. Are you available for this? Nope.
This didn't line up, man. But now here, the stars have aligned, and it was just like hey, are you available to try this thing? Yes, actually, I can.
Well, it's hard, because you have to. We can talk, but our agents have to be the ones who really work out all the details.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, real quick. So, even though we're going to be, this is like an official-ish episode, it's not. We're going to be kind of like super relaxed on this one. So there might be a little bit of technical, like, hey, let's adjust stuff. Like, for example, Scrim, I would like to lower your camera a little bit as well. And you're also mute.
And unmute your microphone.
But yeah, so we'll be taking it, super chill. And thanks for that sub, Gen Human. We're gonna take it super chill, and we're gonna basically we're gonna help Bub create a character. And Scrim, Sabrina, and Bobby have already started building a character, if not already finished it. But we're gonna go over what they've built, make sure everything looks kosher. And then we're gonna learn the rules, just kind of do like a quick rules overview of how this game works, and we're gonna put it into practice with a relatively quick practice scenario. So let's get started. Why don't we begin by...
Still can't hear you, Scrim.
Oh yeah, Scrim, we cannot hear you still. And character creation.
I am PDF'd up. I've got the character sheet available. Just tell me what to do.
Sweet. All right. So let's start with considering your background. Think about where you came from, such as your childhood, your previous career, life of crime, etc., and what got you recruited into a leverage crew. So what we had already decided in our previous Session 0 was that this crew got together to take down a common enemy who was trying to screw everybody, and in the process managed to also do some good for a bunch of people, and then that ended up kind of being like a feel-good thing, and it's like, hey, we should use our talents for good, our nefarious talents for good, and then that's how the leverage team got started. Don't want to pigeonhole you, but we don't have anybody with hitter dice, so we've already spoken about this, so I know that you're already cool with being the hitter. But you also get so that's going to be your primary role. So next to hitter under roles, you're going to put a D10. That is your primary role. Each of the other 4 roles are rated D8, D6, and 2 D4s. So your secondary role is your D8, and that's what kind of defines what type of hitter you are. So if we look at hitters, you have, let's see, a wheelman would be a hitter hacker, so basically someone who drives. A ninja is a hitter thief. A duelist is a hitter grifter, and a platoon sergeant is a hitter mastermind. So right now, just real quick, I'd like the other 3 players to tell us what their primary and secondary roles are, starting with Scrim. Or
you
not.
chose the wrong person.
Or not, starting with Bobby.
I am. Now that our cameras are a little bit misaligned for just a second, she said she's going to be right back, and there she is.
There she is.
I am. Still can't hear Scrim, no. But I am a grifter primary and thief secondary. I'm a grifter thief.
Okay.
Well, this is a good time for me to rearrange cameras while Scrim is gone. Yes, so you're grifter thief.
Grifter thief. What about you, Sabrina?
I am a hacker primary and then grifter secondary.
We have grifter lap.
What is the grifter, if you will? If you
It's
could
like a
break that down.
face. Con
yeah,
artist.
it's kind of like a con. Well, we're all con artists, right? That's kind of the leverage thing. But a grifter's more of you could equate it to a face. There's a lot of different ways you can be a grifter, I suppose. You know, you could be a social chameleon who's the face who goes in and makes contact and is the one who's actually like being the actress going and just meeting with the people. You could be more of a traditional like street con man type grifter who does a lot of like those types of things, but it's someone a shady person. I always think of, did you ever watch Lost, Bub?
Briefly, yeah.
I always think of what's his name, Sawyer from that show.
Okay.
When I think of a grifter.
Yeah.
So.
Now, Bub, you were watching the Leverage TV show just recently. So,
Yes.
So Sophie Devereaux, she's the grifter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, just basically someone who talks good, gets slick, gains people's confidence by basically talking or pretending to be somebody.
Right.
Okay, so it sounds like we are just maxed out on grifting.
Grifting and thieving also, because, well, sort of, yeah. Thieving, sort of, because Scrim is playing a mastermind thief.
So there's 2 thief secondaries.
Yeah, which is fine because we don't have a thief primary, right?
Right.
So we have that sort of covered with D8.
Okay. So grifters, thieves, aplenty.
Can you hear me now?
Yay!
Sorry, everyone, to mess up all the cams, but here I am. I'm here.
It's cool.
loved your
Give me some time.
I loved your super apprehensive, like, I'm about to speak. Is this going to work?
Yes.
There was just no, like, I wasn't muted. There wasn't anything obvious going on. So let me fix the camera.
All right. So, all right, cool. So yeah, so what are you thinking there, Bub?
Well, it sounds like, I don't think it's going to be the duelist. I'm not thinking that it's going to be the duelist. The wheelman seems interesting to me.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of torn between the wheelman and the ninja. I don't really know if what I'm kind of like banking on at the moment is mastermind enough. So I'm torn between the wheelman and the ninja. Do we have a lot of hacker at this point?
We've got a primary hacker in Sabrina.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
think
it.
I'm the only one with hacker. I did also choose as one of my specialties, since we're talking about wheel manning. I chose tactical driving just because we didn't have anybody since Paige left, but I'm down to if you
I guess I guess we can all still shift things around a little bit at this point because we're still in creation mode.
Right. Oh, I see this person being very forward-thinking, more thuggish than anything else, but willing to acclimate.
Well, either way, with hit or primary, you are definitely thuggish. It's just the level. It's like, I guess the secondary role kind of gives you the the flavor.
Sure. I feel like I'm starting to feel ninja. Only suckers fight fair. Yeah, that sounds
Love
that
it.
sounds about right. Yeah.
Nice. All right, so a hitter thief. So put your D8 under the thief roll.
Got it.
I'm gonna write that down, and then you need to put a D6 in another roll, and then your others are going to be the D4s. So obviously the D4s are your worst ones.
All right. I think I'm gonna put my 4s in Grifter and Mastermind.
Alrighty. Cool. Now we need to assign your attributes. So there's 6 attributes: agility, alertness, intelligence, strength, vitality, and willpower. They suggest in the book for hitter to emphasize your physical score. So strength should be your main attribute to pack a good punch, and then agility your second highest, which I think is also definitely good considering that you're doing ninja. So the way that you would assign these is you could either do I forgot the layout. It was,
Is there an array for that?
there's 2 arrays. Yeah, there's focused, which is 2 dice at D10, 2 dice at D8,
Okay.
and 2 dice at D6. Or you could do versatile, which is 1 die at D10, 4 at D8, and 1 at D6.
Let's go versatile.
All right. So then definitely strength at D10.
Yeah, agility at 8, vitality at 8, alertness at 8,
For sure.
and we'll go with willpower at 8, and we'll put his intelligence at 6.
Yeah, I think I went versatile too because I feel like that's, especially with my character's background, that's what a grifter. Grifters feel like they have to be versatile, you know, like.
Yeah, no, that's very, very true. Yeah, no, I like the way that you thought. How does everyone feel about their attributes? Everyone else?
I'm okay with mine. Yep.
Yep.
Feeling pretty good.
Cool. All right, next step is compose one distinction. So it's a word or short phrase that describes you in softer, less quantifiable terms. Now, here's the caveat for distinctions. Distinctions can give you either a D8 if they're going to help you, or a D4 if they're going to hurt you. Now, the reason that something that hurts you gives you a bonus D4, like why would that be the case, is because Leverage has a system where every 1 that you roll on any of these dice causes complications. So D4s have a 25% chance of rolling a 1, whereas a D8 doesn't. So you want a distinction that kind of cuts both ways, where you can use it either or. And the reason I say that is because if you have a distinction that cuts negatively, where you roll a D4, you also get a plot point, which you use kind of like, sort of like Shadowrun Anarchy. I know that you've played this, but with there's more rules to plot points than Shadowrun Anarchy, than just making something happen. But basically think of it as this is how you can trigger special abilities or get away with certain things or create assets. So for example, can everybody else share their distinctions? Their first distinction.
Do it, Scrim.
Mine is unconventional.
Okay.
So yeah, tries to think of. I suppose I, as a player, will try to find the sideways way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The third option, the weird thing, which can sometimes be good and sometimes be bad.
Yeah,
Right, because that's the, you probably already said this, but that's the thing about these distinctions, right, is they can either be really great for us or get us into trouble. So.
Right. Yeah.
Do we make these up, or is there a list?
No, you can make them up. There is a list. Here,
There's a list of examples, I think.
There's a list of examples, yeah. So,
but the intention is for you to make it up.
So I just popped up a thing there at the bottom. There's stuff like gorgeous, deceitful, bad boy,
Madly in love. I like
drunk.
Can I go with foolhardy?
Yeah, of course.
that.
Yeah, boy.
Reckless.
Yeah, reckless and foolhardy. And I like to play loose and fast.
Nice. Sloan, Sabrina, your character Sloan, the hacker. What's your distinction?
My distinction is smooth, or like suave, cool under pressure.
Okay, cool.
That kind of.
Suave. And Clementine, yours is?
Clementine's primary distinction is she is flirtatious.
Nice. And so the next part of this is going to be, we get to create a second distinction now. However, everyone else picks the distinction based on like a short flashback of your character. So we get to kind of like go around and just give a quick scene of like what we envision our character to have done in their past. As a reminder, all of you are not bottom of the barrel people. You are, high level. You've probably made millions. You have it stashed in accounts, offshore accounts, and liquid assets all over the world. And now you are basically just doing things pro bono, maybe with some money on the side, but generally the money isn't the priority for you, right? So you're probably wanted in various countries. You might have done prison already. Yeah. So with that said, Bobby, you actually got to do yours in the Leverage Discord chat. So what was the one that everybody decided for you on that one?
My other distinction was discerning eye. So she grew up sort of, as far as she can remember back, she grew up on the streets without any parents as far as she can remember, since she was like 5 or 6 years old. Making her way, just like being as cute as a button, or as she got older, using her sexuality to her advantage, or anything that she could to just get by. And that meant doing lots of various types of cons and everything. But as she moved up in the world, and her taste for not being on the streets, like she got taste of, spending weeks with executives, from business executives and everything. And she started to get a taste for that sort of like more comfortable life. So she made it sort of a goal for herself to move up in the world. And so she did. And a lot of that involved stealing and selling and doing fast and long cons, but a lot of it had to do with property, and so she started to be able to tell. She has that discerning eye. She's able to kind of spot something that is valuable, or at least perhaps turnable, right? Like maybe not valuable here, but valuable to somebody. And so she's good at spotting that sort of thing.
Excellent. So we're going to go around. Each person is going to just kind of share something about themselves in a flashback. Maybe some kind of trouble that they got into, a job that they pulled off, something really high stakes, whatever that is. And then I say we'll discuss, but we'll also have chat discuss, and they can help us figure out your second distinction. So
before you continue, one thing I did want to make a point of is that the reverse of the discerning eye, the bad of that, is that she's often quite greedy. Like when she sees something like that, it can get her into trouble because she has a hard time, resisting that
champagne tastes.
Right.
And that the old
that's
urge.
A first edition.
She loves nice things, but also she has sort of a long time knee-jerk sort of instinct and impulse to make sure she's covered herself by getting that thing and turning it, so
it's an original Gauguin.
Right.
So who would like to share their flashback first?
I've got one.
Okay.
So my character Marika, as a teen, older teen, competed nationally for the Czech diving team. And
she dove for checks.
She dove for chicks. that was good. That's a high five. Yeah, so she competed in the national level, and she at a meet in another country, she and her teammates devised a plan that while everyone was distracted by the show, that they would they had a plan to steal some of the Americans' stuff. So she actually threw the competition so that she could sneak off and steal some things. And that blew her chances at a shot at the Olympics. And she was really not terribly upset about that, because she didn't really care that much about diving, but she got a taste for stealing after that, and that sort of informed the rest of her early career. So I don't have a distinction necessarily from
that's
that.
fine. We get to psychoanalyze that and figure what out that we want to do. So chat, help us also figure something out. What do you all think? And what do we here think? So far, like, my impression is things like shifty, willing to take a loss for a better gain. I don't know what word that would be. Also fit. I mean, that could also just be a distinction, or some kind of like athletic or greedy.
Definitely in good shape for sure. Greedy for sure. Yeah, I think greedy is true. Oh, opportunist.
Yeah, opportunist is
a good one.
That's a good one.
That could be neat.
Opportunist is, yeah, that's good.
Foolhardy again.
More foolhardy distinctions.
And I think that this particular one would have been fairly well planned out. That she is definitely a planner. Because this could be a foolhardy move, but.
Well, yes and no, right? Like, it was all planned out, and you were willing to take a dive, literally and figuratively, to for a bigger score, right? So for me, like, that says shifty, or like, what's that term that they use? Lucky number 11, the Kansas City Shuffle.
Oh, Kansas City Shuffle.
Yeah,
Yes, such a
look
good
one
movie.
way, misdirecting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think definitely likes to misdirect. And I think too, there's an element of thrill seeking, because it's not like anything she would have taken would have been terribly valuable. It's because maybe she thought, oh, they'll have so much stuff or whatever. But yeah. Anyway.
Obsessive?
I don't know
about obsessive. Does that say obsessive? That flashback? I mean, I feel like everybody's obsessive in some capability, right, in this kind of field.
I can see what Jen's saying there. That totally could make sense. I'm not sure if that's what I'm going for, but I do like that idea, like single-minded maybe. Like willing to throw away something that most people would kill for. Not that she would be guaranteed into the Olympics, but yeah.
I would argue for shifty. I think shifty kind of perfectly encapsulates all of that.
Shifty, so how like appears to be somebody who is like gonna pull one over on you? Like that sounds like mostly a negative.
Well, no, I mean, but it could be a positive for sure. Like, oh, you were looking this way, but actually we were doing this over here. So, like, you definitely have the ability to. It doesn't have to be like obvious that you're shifty, right? But it could also be just distracting, or.
You know what? I think Jen, you got it. I think it's focused.
Focused.
Like hyper focused. Maybe not to the point of obsessive, but like will literally lose something that she's worked for her whole life in order to do another thing. Like not like is only like what's the word I'm looking for? Laser focused, like
Laser focused.
driven.
I like laser
Driven?
focused.
That sounds driven. That's what that sounds like to me.
I like that.
Yeah, driven or laser focused, or I think either of them. I think those are both really
perfect.
good. Which one are you
Thank
picking?
you. I'm gonna driven or focused. Yeah, I'll go with driven.
Driven. All right.
Yeah, I like that.
Cool. Who's
Yeah,
got?
I liked single-minded, which is kind of like that. Yeah. But a note for the chat who's helping us out here. One of the things about distinctions, if that wasn't made clear before, is that you want to kind of construct one that can go either way. It can be a boon, or it can be
a bane.
Yeah, it can hurt you or help you.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when you're answering that interview question when they say, "What's your greatest weakness?" You're really trying to come up with something that's not. That's kind of like, how do we answer that question?
Sure.
God, I work so hard. Yeah.
I'm unconventional. Actually, these would work really well with all of them. That's a good point.
I'm flirtatious. I feel like I wouldn't.
I use my sexuality to my advantage.
Yeah. I'm HR's worst nightmare. All right, who's got the next flashback? Between Bub and
I'll take
Serena.
it.
Okay.
Okay, so Sloane Churchill of the Churchills. I just want to highlight
Of the Churchills.
Is this? Should I know who this is, or
those Churchills.
The Churchills.
So, the Churchills.
Winston.
Yes. So as a teenager, very bored, did not stay in school for very long, constantly getting in trouble for, doing, some would say altruistic. I mean, like, some people called me a hero, I want to say, but like other people maybe thought I was illegal. And a little bit of forgery here and there. Yeah. So I like to be challenged, is the thing. I get bored very easily. I have a lot of skills. I'm an expert horsewoman, good fencer, great fencer.
A fencer or a fencer, like.
I like to go with both. I am a fencer. So I got in big trouble as a teenager, taking tests for other people. Really just so they were computer tests. So just signed in as other people and jiggled the algorithm a little bit. Hacker speak, technical, IT.
Yeah. Yeah.
and computers.
Gigabyte.
You got it. You jiggled the bits.
Yeah.
Floppy disks back in the day.
And then it had like 30 RPM on it.
They were different colors. I had somebody who was born like in 2000 something tell me the other day that look how cool these candies are because they look like little floppy disks, and she didn't know what the fuck they were. And I was like, are you kidding? Okay, back to it. So Sloane is just I think that's the word. Like, always looking for the next challenge, always looking to subvert the authoritative figure. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
All right.
I'm thinking.
So chat, what do you think?
Rebellious?
Yeah, I got little punk is what I got.
Yeah, I'm getting a rebellious vibe. Yeah,
I am too, but I feel like it seems to be very much centered around this idea of needing to be challenged. Like. Like,
not satisfied with status quo.
Or like this is too easy, kind of kind of thing. Like, let's find out what the next big thing is that's gonna keep me entertained, because it's not, a cakewalk.
Right. So.
And I may or may not overcomplicate things.
On purpose, just so that you aren't having a cakewalk anymore.
He sounds bored.
Yeah.
Takes the most difficult route.
Well, if that's the case, then bored mischievous would be the other one, then, wouldn't it? Because bored seems very blasé, right?
Yeah.
But mischievous, like if she's like willing to, screw with things for funsies, that could also be or impulsive. Impulsive. People in chat are saying impulsive.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of impulsive.
Ennui.
But what's the positive of that? I'm trying to think of what is it that they always say in school when you've got a kid that's like that. They always
they're gifted.
They're very
They have attention deficits.
Yeah, there's some good words there. Out of all of the ones that have been thrown into the salad, what do you think is the right one?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Rambunctious, says Xander. That's a really good one.
I like that. I like that a lot.
That's pretty good.
That's the one.
There.
rambunctious. Take the one that you like, but rambunctious reminds me of just a person who's just
Loud.
Just got a lot of loud energy. Yeah. And that might be what you're looking for.
Yeah, someone who gets in there and messes things up because they don't want things to stay calm. Is that the kind of person you're going for?
I kind of like that.
It's like an anarchist.
I dig that.
No, mess things up. Troublemaker.
Yeah, I think troublemaker also works. Rambunctious is like just a prettier word.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and rambunctious implies like that's your personality, whereas troublemaker is like an act of this is too calm. Let me zhuzh this up.
What about
stir this up?
Yeah,
Stir the
thrives.
pot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's your second distinction then?
You know what? Let's go with rambunctious.
Rambunctious.
I like it.
Yeah,
Suave and rambunctious.
I dig it.
All right. And finally, Bub. Do you have a name for your ninja yet, or what are you thinking?
I mean, ninja is such a precise term, and I feel like it's a picture of lots of dark clothing masking the face.
Yeah.
And, I don't think he's that. Let's go with Dean.
Dean. All right.
That's a tough, strong name.
Yeah, and he's not. I mean, he's not much of a ninja, I think. Yeah. So Dean's flashback is more of a recollection of events. I think his flashback looks to a time when everything has just been so convenient, and it's just sort of worked out in his favor. He's always had that sort of flourish in the field, and he's keen with whatever he can get his hands on, be it gun or duster, but he seems to always be in the right place at the right time. Punctuality is not his forte. In fact, his flashback shows him being late to several gang initiative / situations, resulted in many men piling up in a bloody mess, where he found himself standing behind the men with the guns and pretending to be alongside them. And that's sort of how he found himself living today, is operating just out of convenience at the right place at the right time. Because if he had been punctual, he would have been dead. But out of convenience and just being lucky, he pretended to be on the right side, the living side.
All right. I'm getting.
You
Go
know,
ahead.
for my part, for my read of that, I think you said it perfectly. Actually, I feel like right place at the right time is a really good distinction, because I think that has a lot of what you said right in it. You know, like not just right place at the right time in terms of punctuality or lack thereof, but also, you know, that means you're standing by the right person that you need to be standing, like you said, at the right time. You're on the right, you're on the side of the conflict that you need to be on at the time that you need to be there, you know?
Right.
Yeah. I'm getting like that go with the flow or improviser, or like, you know, just because I don't want to just say lucky, because whatever, but like it's
too general.
It's you take advantage of, like, you're here, okay.
It's very roll with the punches.
Roll with the punches. I like that.
Yeah.
And it could be a
See
short
your
phrase.
pants.
Yeah.
It could be a short phrase. So roll with the punches counts.
Okay.
Gandalf. Arrives precisely when he means to.
Yeah. Jen also says like Zen-like, you know.
I like
just kind of
adaptive.
flows. Adaptive.
I like adaptive.
Adaptable.
Winging it, that's just rude, Karami, but also accurate. That's why it's rude.
See, like adaptive, you know what the thing is? Adaptive to me, I don't feel like that has a negative side to it.
It's too
right?
positive, yeah.
It's too positive. Winging it definitely has bonus and negative to it.
I may have already written down winging it just because I
All right, well, thank you, Karami. Winging it.
That's great. Winging it is great.
Foolhardy and winging it. This is gonna go well.
Make it up while you go along.
Cool.
This is the character that gets everyone in trouble.
Totally.
I don't know if everybody's noticing what everyone else is doing, but yeah. So cool. All right, there's going to be a third distinction, but that will be determined after the first official job. So not this like placed job. After our first session, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to chat, and they're going to all determine your last
right, because
distinction.
we're having fun talking about how the ideal way we see our characters.
Yeah. Now I need to see how you actually functioned on the job.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now we're past the interview.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Next is we need to establish. See the. I believe now we established talents. No.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So let me go ahead and pull up the talents for hitter for you, bub.
Okay.
So these are, you get to pick 2 talents to start. Now you don't have to pick them both from the hitter tree, but at least one of them does have to be from the hitter tree. So basically they're just like special extra abilities. For our other players, while you're taking time looking those over, did any of you not pick a talent that lets you trigger it in an opportunity?
Ooh, good question.
I'm not sure what you mean. I have.
Ditto.
So can I give you an example and you can tell me what?
Well, for example, if I was to pull up the mastermind one, the list of mastermind abilities, I'm looking, yeah, so master plan. Mastermind is one of the dice in your roll, and this activates when you're rolling masterminds and the fixer gives you an opportunity. So what it means by giving an opportunity
I see,
is
an official opportunity.
Yeah, so what opportunity means is I roll, everything I roll is open, you can all see it. And if I roll a 1, you have an opportunity. So it's basically the opposite of a setback for you guys.
Okay, so if then you get that 1, then that can possibly trigger my ability.
Correct. Yeah.
Got it.
And
I do not have that.
Yeah.
So explain what an opportunity is again. I apologize.
If I roll a 1 on any of my dice that are countering you, then it triggers an opportunity. And opportunities are the only way that you can really use opportunities in this game, as far as I've seen from the book, is based off of these character abilities that say they activate when I give you an opportunity.
Gotcha.
Someone's mic is popping.
Yeah, I'm noticing the same.
Is it me?
It doesn't go away when I mute myself.
I'll mute you each in turn and tell you when it goes away.
Okay. Weird. I don't hear the popping, so it's probably me.
Yeah, it's you. It's like, it sounds like you're doing this.
Okay, wait.
Or like your phone is right next to
Or like your phone is right next to it, and it's triggering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nope. Has it gone away yet?
Nope. It just started happening just a second ago, though.
Weird.
Oh.
Now
It
it's
like
going very
stopped
slowly.
and slowed down, yeah.
Okay, gone.
Now it's gone, yeah.
Wouldn't be a normal
Okay.
stream without some technical difficulties.
Not with us.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason I bring that up is because I was looking at the sample characters and I noticed that all of them had one ability that triggers on opportunities, and I realized like that's kind of smart, because if I ever roll a 1 against you, which is likely, like if you don't want to like potentially miss an opportunity to trigger something, but then again, maybe you don't need it. Who knows? Maybe your other abilities happen to be good.
So opportunities, which are when you roll a 1 to remind myself and others, they don't inherently do anything. The only way that these opportunities benefit anybody is if someone has a talent that is triggered when you roll a 1 or when we get an opportunity. Okay. Yeah, I do not have one.
Okay. Well, during the game, you can always potentially buy one, I believe. I don't know how expensive they are. I think actually your character sheets say how expensive they are when you decide to buy. Let me see. You buy a talent is 4 jobs. So at the end of this run of shows, you get to pick a new talent. So actually, yeah, these will be the 2 that you are stuck with. I mean, I guess if anything, we can make this practice one a job, and then that way you can, on the 3rd official episode, then you can go ahead and get a talent.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Sabrina, what talents did you pick? Sorry, I was just gonna fill dead air.
Yeah, no, that's actually what I was gonna ask. So, what's up?
So I have do you have that thing I gave you, which is my hacker, and that's the gadgety one, so that whenever we run into a problem, I can just ask somebody if you have that thingy I gave you. But I will need to spend a plot. Well, no, actually, does it count that I spent a plot point last time to activate this time?
No, so actually that's something I was going to say. If any of you bought anything during the last run when we were doing the recruitment job, you're not beholden to that. You can reset it because we're just doing regular character creation instead. So if you don't want this hacker talent and you want something else, you are free to do so. Okay.
Well, I mean, I'll keep that one for now, and then, yeah, because it comes in handy. I can just make shit up on the spot, which I love, of course. And then we've got want to buy a watch for my grifter. So if I'm doing like a street con type thing, which is like a basic scam, I pull a D8. And then if my mark is a little bit more savvy or like educated, I get a D6 on that roll.
Okay. Neat.
Oh, nice. So the other one the first one you mentioned, do you have that thing I gave you? You have to be in contact with that person, right? Because it's like is that correct? Am I making that up, or is that
Let's see. The activation is you're pulling a basic scam on someone.
No, that's
Want to buy a watch?
Do you have that thing I gave you?
No, I'm talking about, do you have that thing I gave you?
Oh, I see. Sorry. That says the activation. It's too many windows open. Do you have that thing I gave you?
Spend a plot point.
Yeah, all you have to do is spend a plot point, and you give another member of the team an extra D8 on any roll by reminding them of the sweet piece of gadgetry that you gave them. You must describe you must describe how the gadget will help in the current situation. If you use this for somebody during their flashback action, increase the die to a D10. So if somebody's in the middle of a flashback and then they pull, Sabrina decides to do you have that thing I gave you, and gets to bring it in, then it's a D10 instead of a D8. Now, of note, anybody can spend a plot point anyway to give an asset that adds a D6 to any roll. So in this case, Sloane is just able to do a D8 or potentially a D10
right
with her plot point expenditure.
It's like, hey, do you remember when I gave you that that pen
Knife.
that shoots poison gas out of it?
Yeah, or an ice bullet. You know,
Lipstick grenade.
Yeah, as a reminder, Leverage is a decidedly non-violent show.
It's a what?
It's a decidedly non-violent show
Non-violent.
because death and guns and things complicate things. So basically, like, if there's weaponry, it's all like punching,
tranquilizer.
punching tranquilizers, tasers, maybe at most.
Yeah, do you remember that pen that I gave you that
batons.
is really a taser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At worst, you might get into a knife fight, but yeah, like that's about as crazy as it gets. So
Scrim, what were the talents that you decided on?
All right, so I went with the Mastermind talent Archangel. So when I'm in voice contact with members of the crew, any crew member I'm in contact with, including myself, can spend plot points to give a die to any other member of the crew you're in contact with. So you can do this too. It's a team thing. Any crew member can spend plot points to give a die to any other member that we're all in contact with.
So to be clear, like if the three, let's say you, me, and Bub are in contact with each other, and Sabrina is not. If you use the Archangel thing, then I could give a plot point to Bub or you, but not to Sabrina.
Correct.
And you
Now
or
there's-
all three of us could give each other a plot point using your
Give each other
Archangel.
a die. By spending a plot
die,
point.
not plot.
Yeah.
By spending a plot point. Okay.
So there is one complication here. I'm not 100% sure which die it is. Can give a die.
yeah, so when we were playing around with this, it seems like it's based on what you're doing. Because the idea of Archangel is you are making sure that people who need a hand get one. So if you are, it's one of those things that we just kind of have to determine. So like if you are helping someone's agility, for example, you might be giving them your agility die. If you're giving them a mastermind boost, then you're using your mastermind die and throwing that in. Or maybe you're giving them an asset.
Okay.
Something like that. So that's really the best I can give for that because it's not super clear.
Yeah, it's not super clear, but that's okay. Well, yeah, I think it'll make sense.
Or alternatively, we could just call it your mastermind die and leave it at that.
Could be.
But
The D10, so I'd be all right with that.
But you know why I think it just says a die is because any crew member can do it. So I feel like it's meant to be that because you're in contact with these people, you can like move them around to make sure that they're helping each other. So like say, Clementine really needs someone to get punched out so that she can get away. You're like, Dean, move in, go. And then Dean gets to add, or maybe like, I guess that wouldn't be the best. Clementine needs to get away from somebody. Dean might say, Dean, what is Clementine like judo chop to get out of here? And then Dean gives the
Or like give her
the
directions,
advice.
like
Yeah.
turn left and run that way when it's not an obvious thing.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, I picked that one because it seemed really versatile and lots of fun. I think we're gonna have fun with that one.
I like. By the way, I do like the idea that Dean would give verbal instructions on how to karate chop.
Yeah.
Hit right for the throat. Hard, just hard, really, really hard.
First, raise your right hand. Like this.
angle. And the other one, well, in our last session, I meant to, I had plans to use this one, so it may change, but it was Safe Cracker. So I'm good at opening locks and cracking safes.
Ooh, okay. So let's see. That one is it activates when you're making a roll that has your thief die to open a safe, a locked door, or something similar. And then you get an extra D8.
Gain a D8 on the roll.
Nice. So you get basically a D10. You get a D8 plus whatever your attribute is, plus another D8. Nice. Very nice. Very nice. All right.
Bobby?
Clementine, have we gone over yours?
I chose, so when you're picking your talents, you have to choose at least one that is within your, what do you call it? Your
main specialty?
Correct.
Specialty. You can't mince words, right? Like words are important.
Your primary role, basically, yeah.
Your primary role, that's the word I was looking for, yeah. So the one that I chose for my primary role is a talent called How You Doing. And it's you're really good at seduction, but be careful. You never know how someone's going to react. Flirting backfire. And the activation is when you're trying a face action against someone who's attracted to your gender in a flirtatious or seductive manner. And the effect is, if you wish, you can add an extra D10 to your roll, but if you do, you must also add a D4, which, as Oz explained, is a risky thing to do because if you get a 1 on any one of your die, then that's a problem.
Yeah.
So a D4 has obviously the highest chance to get a 1. So yeah, I felt like that fit my my character very, very well.
Nice.
But I went outside for my second talent. I went outside into the thief role and got pickpocket. And I lost my page for a second. Hold on. Pickpocket. Pickpocket. Here we go. It's what it sounds like, people, but I'll read you.
No surprises.
Yeah, it's the activation is when you're making a roll, including your thief die, attempting to pick someone's pocket or otherwise relieve someone of an item in their possession without their knowledge, and the effect is you add a D8 to your roll. So pretty straightforward. Yeah. It just makes it easier for me to pick people's pockets or steal stuff.
Very neat. Alrighty, and finally, Bub, what are you going with?
We lost Sabrina.
She wasn't able to hear us. She's trying to fix that.
Slow, no! I've decided on 2, and I'm pretty happy with them, actually. And it was only after you said that you jumped into your secondary talent that I decided to look at this list, and I think it's perfect.
Okay.
So first, I chose everything is a weapon.
I love that.
You can use anything that isn't bolted down and some things that are as weapons. Activation, you are engaged in a fight action and you've spent a plot point to gain an improvised weapon asset. The effect, step up the asset die rating by 1 to a D12 maximum. I think it's gonna be fun.
Nice.
That seems to fit really well too, because what was the distinction that we found for you with the chat?
Winging it.
Winging it.
Yeah, right. So
Winging
it seems like that fits you really well. So.
And the second talent, I just don't think anything's gonna work better. I took it out of the thief talents, and it's perfect timing. Thief. Folks set their watches to you. Activation. You're doing something according to precise timing. This is different than as fast as possible, or attempting to assess how long it will take you to do something. The effect is gain an extra D8 to your roll. Oh, and you never need a watch to know what time it is.
Nice.
That's a cool one. Yeah, I was thinking of taking that one.
Very nice. So yeah, so we have
Solid.
3 people that took stuff from the thief tree. This is why, like, I noticed in chat, somebody mentioned we're missing a thief. We're not. We've got it covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool to have.
We all seem to dabble in thievery.
Yeah, it would be cool to have like a thief, but whatever. We can only
My
have
other
so many people
option
on the stream.
that I was interested in was threat assessment for the hitter, as you can size them up. You successfully use a notice action against a supporting character, spend a plot point for extra effect. The effect is you identify any of the supporting character's traits rated at D10. If you spend a plot point and have a bit of time to study the supporting character, you also identify any traits at D4. But I'm not really sure, since I haven't played yet. I don't know how useful that is.
So
it seems like it would be good in a pinch, right? Like if it very much feels like to me in Leverage that you want to avoid combat,
yeah,
whenever necessary.
Sure.
Right. But when you do,
so you would want to get combat-y type stuff. Like a hitter seems to be like someone who would want to take hitting type stuff,
Yeah.
that it's going to be clutch, you know?
Yeah, the idea with threat assessment is that you would know what, especially if you're able to study them, then you would know what their D4 is, basically. So it could create opportunities for other people. But it actually seems like nobody took anything that takes advantage of opportunities. So what
right.
Yeah, so here's what I'll do, what I'll offer. After we do our test session, I'll allow all of you to like maybe swap out your talents if you feel like one of them wasn't really working out the way that you intended it would. And that way we can like, yeah.
Sounds good. Yep.
All right. Next, let me see, what's going on with your character sheet? I think we didn't talk about specialties. So okay, so specialties are additional things.
Where can I find those?
Here, I'll bink. Pop up.
Oh, right on. Perfect.
Example specialties. So you have to basically pick something that isn't clearly defined by any of these 5 roles, but you're going to attach it to one of the roles, like how you use it. So for example, if you do driving hacker. Hold on. Hello, Sabrina. Can you hear us?
Hi, yes, I can hear you. I'm so sorry.
Excellent. No, it's all good. Thanks.
We weren't talking to you, so.
So for example, driving hacker, maybe you drive with awareness of the capabilities of your car and how to exploit them, but driving hitter is more of a combat driver, using it to like escape ambushes and cut cars off. So some examples are explosives, driving, piloting, cooking, singing, trauma surgery, card sharp, sports trivia.
Ooh, oh man. Could I get some help from chat on this one?
Ooh, yeah. So you need 2 specialties. And these are basically like ways to further drive maybe like some other things that maybe your character happens to be interested in that might come in handy.
Yeah, mechanically you just get an extra die whenever you're doing that thing in that way.
Sure.
But
yeah, it basically just gives
like,
you a D6. Yeah,
but it definitely feels like a way to say this is like, it's a specialty, right? Like I feel like it, you know, I'm just gonna end up saying specialty a bunch, specialize, and
so why don't we go around the table and discuss what everybody chose for specialties. So Marika, what were your specialties?
So Marika's specialties are explosives, thief. So yeah, I'm gonna have some fun, some unusual explosives. I think will be controlled by my unconventional distinction. And then I thought I made one up for myself for Mastermind, called showmanship. So what I was thinking is, because she has a background in, performance. That she is able to command a room and command attention, and that this is something she's not terribly interested in being the center of attention, but she can play a distraction when needed. Or be that kind of behind the scenes person and identify the right person to help orchestrate things, the one who really runs everything.
I like it a lot. That's a really good one.
Awesome.
GM approved. Sloan, what were your specializations?
So bartending for my grifter.
Nice.
So good listener. Very showmanshipy, so I like to throw things in the air, and whether
Flair
they land in my
bartending?
hands, sometimes I'm really good at it, most times I'm really good at it. And then I chose tactical driving for hacker, but I'd like to make it so that I've never actually driven a physical car. It's all been just like simulated driving, but I'm very, very good at hacking streetlights and telling you where to go. if that makes sense.
Okay, so you don't drive per se.
But I can commandeer a car that has a computer, and most cars do. There's self-driving cars.
I like that.
They exist.
She's the speaking Google Maps that tells me where to go all the time when I get lost.
Mm-hmm.
So like navigator?
Yeah.
I mean, if
Yes.
it's part of your hacker,
Sloan.
if it's part of your hacker, you can basically you can justify it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I would totally allow you to add a D6 when you're hacking a street light or something. Or
Yeah.
trying to figure out a route or something. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of call it navigator.
Yeah.
All right. Clementine, what'd you pick?
Quick question: do you have to have a specialty in each of your roles, or can it all be in one role? Or
No, you can actually add it to whatever role you want. So for example,
it can even be a
like,
role you don't have, right?
It could be a role that you have a D4 in. Like everybody has, you have each of the 5 roles, but yeah, you could add it to a D4. So like say, yeah, maybe I'm not a hitter, but I do have a specialty in macing someone. Like then yeah, you could go ahead and you can put mace as your
Spent a lot
D6.
of time getting maced. I know.
But yeah, so like that'll add a D6 to if you ever need to use mace on somebody.
Right. Yeah, I was just curious about that. I had for the thief role, I had a specialty in sleight of hand. So Clementine is really good at also commanding a room, but I chose specialties that were not like that because her whole childhood was up until when she became, late in her a teenager or later, like she didn't really start thinking about it this way, but her whole childhood and young adulthood and everything was all about like street cons and stuff like that and thievery and everything. So she's definitely a sleight of hand. She spent some time hanging out with a group of street magicians, and she knows she can do street magic really well. Wouldn't that be a better specialty? Because I know that one of your talents is already like pickpocketing stuff, so it almost feels like. Well, that's what sleight of hand more broadly describes, I think, street magic. That's why I chose sleight of hand. But sure, you can call it street magic if you want.
I feel like that. Yeah, because I guess the point of a specialty is that it doesn't really fall under any of the things. Sleight of hand is very thievy. Magic is.
Sure, and maybe that is a better one because it's actually describes more of the showmanship of it as well. So, yeah. The other one. And
you're tying that to which role, Grifter?
Let's say yes. It was yes. Street magic, Grifter. The other one is I'm also tying to Grifter is cold reading.
Nice.
And that is cold reading is, she's able to size people up and sort of not just size people up though. She's able to talk to people and kind of figure out what they're thinking and who they are and figure out details about a person based on by asking leading questions and sort of like leading people on in a conversation and pretending to know something about them that maybe she doesn't, but also picking up on cues in the conversation to sort of like pick things out. And if you're familiar with the actual art of cold reading, then you know what I'm talking about. But that she does that really, really well because that was very essential for her in as she was growing up. So
I dig it. I would posit, because I assume that's also tied to your Grifter, right? I would posit, would you be interested in maybe making street magic thief instead? Because then that way you can have that tie into like doing swapperoos and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Done.
Yeah, and with your
Already done
pickpocket,
on my
I think it's
character
gonna-
sheet.
I think it's gonna be pretty slick. All right, so Bub, what are your specialties?
Man, this is where I'm hung up. I'm not really sure, to be honest. This is the first time that I've kind of come across something that's really kind of stopped me in my tracks.
All right, let's see here. Has chat said anything of interest?
Well, let's see.
Sharks with lasers is your specialty.
It really want me to be into cooking and clockmaking for reasons.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's his interests.
Cleaning.
Clean.
I like clock cleaner. That's
Yeah.
that's an interesting one.
That's punny.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Hmm.
Moped throwing.
I just
I can see that coming up a lot.
You could just throw someone something completely non sequitur, you know, like chimney sweeping.
That's a callback to the Anarchy game that Misfortune ran on my channel, where I was playing a Street Sam troll and we were being chased. And the only thing that I could do, because I didn't have a firearm, was throw the moped in the back of the vehicle. So I
see.
hucked a moped through the front windshield of the vehicle behind us.
It sounds somewhat specific.
It worked. It was very effective.
Love it. Love it. So now I might be mixing up, but for your talents, you didn't pick the one where you were assessing, like reading the room kind of
Brett's?
thing.
No.
But you did not pick that one. So maybe something like that, like something about perception. Something. I get a feeling that your guy like can tell who the bodyguards are in a room, like right away.
Like an awareness of sorts.
Yeah.
Jason
Oh,
Bourning.
Situational
Yeah.
awareness.
I know
That's what it
exactly
is.
how many ways I can get out of this and how many times I'm going to get shot trying to get out of this.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. I like that. What would that fall under, though, as far as the specialty? Would that be thief, grifter? I don't know if that would be hitter.
Maybe mastermind.
Mastermind, maybe.
Okay.
Mastermind.
So awareness, mastermind?
Well, awareness is already an attribute, so maybe we can come
Okay.
up with something that's a little more like
Do we have perception here?
awareness, really.
So that would be awareness. Alertness is an attribute, not awareness.
Ah, I see. Well, I mean, at this point where it's like plicking hairs, you know what I mean? I would say maybe like the idea is that you are sizing people up, or that you can kind of like scan a crowd for threats, see if something's up.
And I think you could apply that as any one of the rules, and that it could be a hitter one, because
Okay.
you know a hitter would know like I can take that guy, and that guy, but not all at the same time.
Yeah.
Right.
Wizzo says
Threat
situational
assessment.
awareness. Threat
Yeah, that's-
assessment's good. Karami said spotter earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe
Right.
spotter seems interesting, I guess.
Sizing up.
The size of, I feel like that's built into one of the
Yeah.
the talents, though.
Is it?
It's actually like it's flavor text is sizing up.
So maybe like
How about I go with evaluation?
All right then.
okay, evaluation, that's cool.
And that would be hitter.
And what would you want to tie that to? Hitter? Okay.
Yeah.
And then for your second specialty,
Evaluation, I like it.
I don't know, you want to do like, let's do something like fun. I don't know, maybe like driving or mechanics or
I kind of think that he might have a specialty in breaking things. Like I wanted to say larceny, but in general, that's too broad of a scope. But I feel like he would be exceptional at just deconstructing things, just breaking shit in general.
sabotage.
So sabotage, yeah, I think that would work.
Ooh, yeah.
Hmm.
Sabotage.
What do you think, chat? Is sabotage? Is that good?
Calling all y'all. It's
I remember the Shadowrun game. What was it called? Boston Lockdown. Called what was it called? With the smashy person. Bobby, you've played this. Are they like demolishing or? I don't know.
Like the demo or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sabotage.
I missed the first half of what you were saying. So.
Okay, so is this like this is the kind of thing where you get in disable get out, or you get in smash to bits get out?
I mean, I think it could apply to a lot of things. I think it almost even ties to everything as a weapon, right? Like
Yeah, totally.
if I see something that could work as a weapon, but it won't because I can't pick up an entire kitchen table.
So why don't you just call it like
the kitchen table?
Well, okay, yeah, just call it disassembly.
Disassembly, perfect.
You know, he's gonna use that on a person at some point.
Yes.
His specialty is disassembly.
Yeah. Disassembly. All right. What do I tie that to? Is that also hitter?
Maybe
It's hacker.
could be hacker. Could be hacker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
All right. I'm for it.
Hacker.
Disassembly
Reverse
hacker.
All right. Very nice. So, let's take. I'm like dying of a cough right now, so I'm just like. I'm gonna get myself a Ricola. We'll take a 5-minute break. Everyone can refill their water, use the restroom, all of that. So everyone in chat, stay tuned because we have more to work on, and then a test game. So stay tuned.
Whee! Hooray!
Ooh, hello everybody and welcome back to Shadowcasters Network, where we are on our session 0 for leverage, and I think we're pretty close to wrapping up our character creation, so let's just go ahead and finish that up, shall we? What do we have left? We have to create signature assets, and I think that's basically it at that point, no? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
so.
one thing I wasn't able to come up with on my own as a signature asset.
All right, so a signature asset is basically just a thing that you have, such as, let's see. It's something that is strongly associated with you that can potentially come up in almost any job, though there's no guarantee that it will. These can be locations like the Leverage Consulting and Associates office, or resources like Respect the Van, or Awesome Computer. So I know a few of you have already created some, so what do we got?
I can go.
Sure,
Really
what you got?
proud of it.
Uh-huh.
That's super creative. Invisible computer. Her name is Titania.
Titania.
Invisible
There we
computer.
Invisible
Yes.
computer.
How does
Wait.
that work?
So like invisible, not like literally invisible. But
Oh,
so,
okay.
Titania, the best of the best. So my beautiful, beautiful computer is unsinkable, it's untraceable, and it's infallible, and it also goes everywhere with me.
Got it.
Love it.
Oh, I see. So it's invisible on the interwebs.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
Virtually invisible.
Yes.
I like it. Marika, what you got?
All right. So this may be a little general, but I chose criminal connections for D8.
Yeah, that totally counts. For sure.
So after spending 5 years in a Belgian prison, Marika maintains a loose association with organized criminals in Belgium. They are generally slick and smooth talking, able to be unassuming when needed, and always good to have on your side as long as you're good for whatever has been promised.
Mm-hmm. That totally works. Love
perfect.
it. All right.
International Belgian criminal ring.
So actually, yeah, that might open things up for you there, Bobby, because maybe you were like thinking about objects, but although it could also be a place.
I was thinking too much object.
Yeah, with grifters, it's not really. You don't really need an object so much as you need maybe like a base of operations or.
I'm starting to think someone who could like a professional who could like create she would need someone who created identities for her. But I'm just spitballing at this point because I haven't come up with anything. So if the chat has any ideas,
the hacker character in Leverage usually just comes up with identities like bloop bloop, just like, yeah, here you go. Here's an entire social media history that's been fabricated.
Oh yeah, good point. I don't want to take bread away from Sloan.
Yeah. How about Dean? What are you thinking there, bub, for an asset?
I too was thinking that it was going to be an item. So when she said criminal connections, it just threw me for all of the loop.
Yeah, and so that you know, like in the game, when you spend a plot point for an asset, that can also be, it doesn't necessarily have to be an object. It could literally be like your gun has no bullets. Like shooting blanks could be an asset. So it's like, because, you know, maybe you were able to get to the Mark's gun, pop out all the bullets, and walk away, and then when they aiming the gun at you, you're like, nah. So that's a D6 in your favor. So yeah, it could really just be, it could be anything. And again, like I said, it could be a location. Actually, and that's something that we should talk about. Like, we decided to set this in Miami, Florida, but I don't think we actually really established what your team's base of operations is in Miami, Florida. And keep in mind, you have unlimited resources. Where would you like to sit up?
It's funny that you started talking about that, because my head started drifting to like I could see my character having like some sort of a bar or fancy club that she's used as a safe house, or like it's got like secret back rooms and stuff like that.
Speakeasy, the kind of place you got to look for.
Yeah. It's got like a normal front and everything, but she knows the people there and she's well connected there, and she can either hide out there or plan jobs and stuff.
Would you like to be beachfront?
Sounds like her style. Sure.
Rooftop beach club, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, rooftop sounds quite
on Ocean Drive. Make it Art Deco
stylish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it.
All right. So yeah, let's come up with a name for your rooftop beachfront bar. And chat, feel free to help us out.
Yeah, I'm terrible at names. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't come up with names very well.
Neither do I. That's why I asked chat for stuff.
Super cheesy, like
the Heidi
resort
Hole or
names.
something.
Yeah, or like
Heidi Hole.
or like the palm frond. That's terrible. Don't use that. It's terrible.
Heidi
I know.
Hole.
That's what's coming. Oasis could be cool.
Oasis. I like Oasis, but if you could throw something else in there, or the Orange Grove.
I like the Orange Grove. Feels kind of like classy at the same time.
Also, your name is Clementine, so yes.
Ooh.
Hey,
I don't know why I didn't make that connection.
I just made that connection. I was like, oh shit, yes. All right, so the Orange Grove bar.
I feel like the Orange
bar?
Grove is a foregone conclusion at this point. Yeah.
All right. So we've got.
It also insinuates something dirty.
Yeah, totally.
Her name is Clementine, and her place is the Orange Grove. Like I'm feeling something real dirty there.
Yeah.
There's a definite vibe.
All right, so the Orange Grove Rooftop Bar D8. By the way, for those of you who have already created assets, make sure you add a D8 next to it. This is your signature asset. All assets that you get after that you can get are going to be D6s.
Okay.
All right. So Dean.
All right. So I've got three. Three, and one of them was thrown out by chat, which was less of a physical item. But the first thing that I went to with the physical items was the equivalent of like a hammer or something like that. So I just listed it as old reliable, something that I know that can help me in the field. The next was friends in low places, just happening to have the right people for the job of whatever is happening at that time. But I feel like it might step on the toes of Marika.
I feel that way too.
With that. But something I haven't heard yet is Karami threw this out as reputation.
Interesting.
Having a reputation that precedes him. It could be as like the survivalist or the undisputable or something like that. Wherever he goes, people knows who he is.
I would argue against that because that could be more of a hindrance for you when it comes to running cons, right? A lot of the time, even the hitter gets called to, pose as somebody, and if he has a reputation, like people do know him in some way, like it could hinder you being able to kind of play off a role like that.
Even an underworld reputation?
Yeah, reputations won't go into every field. Like if I step into a casino, the casino owner's not going to know someone from the streets, right?
So maybe notoriety?
Perhaps.
You can do this. I would still argue against doing it only because it's. I mean, it could be fun. It could be fun, but I don't know.
It could be really fun. I don't want to I definitely don't want to cause more trouble than I already will be causing trouble.
Well, Jen has a good suggestion, a forgettable face, kind of the opposite.
I liked that.
You sort of look like a generic guy.
Ooh, and that ties into the ninja concept because you don't want to do like regular ninja, but you're social ninja.
Okay, forgettable face. Okay, all right, I
dig that.
It also goes with, did you decide to keep the adaptive?
Winging it. We went with winging it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it also kind of goes with that, because you could step into any situation.
Who has a forgettable face in Miami, Oz?
Oh, like everybody.
I don't know.
Like who's the
I don't know, I forgot.
Standard Miamian. How do you
Miamian?
A standard Miamian?
Yeah, like if you go to a club you see like 50 of these guys.
Oh my god. Oh, silk shirt.
Hispanic.
Like down to here.
Yeah, Hispanic. So like yes, like light to mid-tone brown.
Gold chain.
Dark hair.
Gold chain with their initial on one of them. Yes.
He had some hair and a nose. He looked like a guy.
Buzzed. Buzzed hair.
Yeah, I know that
guy. Buzzed hair, like tiny kind of eyes, a little nose, mouth, no facial hair.
All right, I got it.
Maybe a little scruff. I don't know. Earring, a little diamond stud earrings, maybe.
Yay high.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Anywhere between 4 feet and 7, 8. I'm not sure.
Although he might have been crouching.
2 to 4 buttons undone.
It was a low ceiling. We're not really sure.
Yeah.
So forgettable face. I like that. What do we think?
He looking like a man. Very nice reference, Irisa.
Forgettable face. So that's going to be a
cool.
D8.
That's cool. It's clever. Me gusta.
Good stuff.
All right. So I think with that ends character creation unless anyone has any other final questions. Cool. So let's talk rules. Probably the first and foremost thing that we should go over are how just, I guess, dice work generally. So every time that you roll, or that you need to make a roll, so just like in D&D, there's nothing special about it. Like, we need to see if you're going to fail or not. You would roll an attribute plus a roll. So this could be like alertness plus thief. And so you look at those 2 dice, and that's why we have those macros there at the bottom for you on Roll20. You click the combination of those 2 dice, and then you tack on any bonus dice. This could be stuff from your distinction, from your signature assets, from your specializations. Could be other assets, things from your talents or other people's talents in Marika's case, etc. So you could be potentially rolling a shit ton of dice. Once you make your roll, The 2 highest dice in your roll are the ones that count and get added up. And that determines your total score. In the case of certain actions, such as notice, the notice action, which is just to like see, you know, you're trying to spot something, or case a scene, generally is, you know, alertness, intelligence, willpower kind of thing. Basically, really, it's let's see, the game runs on a thing where it's called setting the stakes, right? So one of us has to roll first, so either the fixer, which is me, or the player. That person rolls, and then the number that they roll sets the stakes, and then the other person has to beat the stakes with their roll. They have to raise the stakes, is what it's called. With stuff like notice and face actions, so face being, you know, anything social, it's literally just a one-time thing. Although if the conversation is still going, or like you have to keep tailing somebody, you might keep raising the stakes, right? And you have to keep rolling higher than the number previously rolled. So like, you know, Dean might roll a 5, I roll a 7, now you have to roll higher than a 7, and then say you roll a 10, now I have to roll a 13, etc. So, and then once somebody can't raise the stakes, then that determines who the winner is. Whoever like had the highest number. So that's basically that. Generally, with contested actions, that's where it's most seen. So like a fight action, this is good for both Dean and Sloan, because fight actions can also be considered in like a cyberspace arena, perhaps. Cybersecurity generally. So you have to basically cyberspace. You want to raise the stakes high enough that your opponent isn't able to beat their own result. Now there's 2 things you can do. You can, at any time in between these, like you have to keep raising the stakes, you can choose to give in and basically say, I'm not going to beat this, I'm going to give in, and you can set the failure on your own terms. But if you decide to roll and you fail to raise the stakes, then the other person gets to set the failure. And I say the other person because if I fail to raise the stakes against you, then you get to set the terms of the failure for whoever the NPC is, that, or whatever the situation is, right? So, but generally, like, so that's how that works. Any questions so far? Makes sense?
No.
Cool. Let me see. Flashback actions are important. So flashbacks, there's 2 types of, and flashbacks are important because it's very, very leveraged, right? If anyone's, now you've all seen an episode of Leverage, you know that flashbacks kind of establish, kind of like in Blades in the Dark, whoever's played anything Blades in the Dark or Forged in the Dark, flashbacks are to basically justify things that you have already prepared ahead of time, but as we're playing, because we as players are not the professionals that this team is, we get to bullshit our way through and make it seem like they were super like prepped for the job. So you can basically, there's 2 types of flashbacks. One is an establishment flashback, which this is just to reveal backstory for your crew, but it could also be to use on the job to create an asset potentially prior. So use an establishment flashback. I'm just gonna kind of like read this because I haven't like super gelled this into my brain, so I can get help as we do this, right? An establishment flashback, someone has to trigger it. So either one of the fixer's supporting characters or another crew member who's in the scene with you can say something like, how do you plan to get out of this one? Or I sure hope you did that thing earlier. And then you can describe a brief monochromatic flashback moment of your crew member doing something, hand a plot point over. So like you basically give up one of your plot points. It says to the fixer or the player who triggered the flashback. So it sounds like if a player says, I hope you did that thing earlier, then...
Or remember when I gave you that gadget earlier?
See, that's why, right? Like another crew member who's in the scene with you, I sure hope you did that thing earlier. Hand a plot point over to the player who triggered the flashback. So in this case, Sloan triggers the flashback, gives the plot point over
Maybe
guess
it's
whatever
a
you
thing
do
that
is-
doesn't require a flashback. Maybe Sloane's power doesn't require a flashback.
If she does it during an establishment flashback, she gives a D10 instead of a D8.
Oh well, that's easy. That's if I were to say if she were to say, like, don't you remember that pen that I gave you? And then to me, and then in the establishment, and then I decide to be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do an establishment flashback, and then I describe how that happened in the flashback.
Oh, and you set,
then
and you
it would
set the
create
terms
a
of the
D10.
pen. And that's the thing, you set the
Right.
terms of the pen. So like Sloane might not necessarily, like Sloane might have one idea of what the pen was, but Clementine's flashback is, oh, the pen actually does this. And Sloane's like, yeah, here you go.
Right. So in other words, if I had used a flashback to then establish how it happened, then it would be a D10 instead of
A D6.
otherwise a D6.
Yeah.
So it just encourages using a flashback in that situation. If we're using the specific example of that talent that Sloane has.
Right.
I like us exchanging plot points too.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. It encourages you to get to trigger flashbacks.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, if you don't have anybody around to trigger a flashback for you, you can still make use of the flashback. You hand a plot point over to the fixer. That's me. But you also have to roll for it. So you describe the scene, you roll, and then if you raise the stakes against the fixer, then you get the asset that you want. Otherwise, you don't get the asset, but you've still introduced the reveal. So it's up to me to determine how it doesn't necessarily help you out, even though it happened. Make sense? It's like a weird kind of like middle ground thing. So yeah, so you could trigger your own establishment flashbacks if you're alone. But you do have to roll for it, and it's like a 50-50, not a 50-50 shot, but it might not necessarily work out for you. Right. The other is the wrap-up flashback. So wrap-up flashbacks are a series of basic actions played around the table by all of the crew members at the end of a job or at some critical point. So basically, this is like the end of every Leverage episode where you find out what actually happened behind the scenes to get to this point, right?
Right.
So the crew's mastermind usually initiates it, because it uses the mastermind role and sets up a final blow against the Mark's own plans. So this is actually like a whole kind of like subsystem. So this is very important for you, Scrim. Although all of us need to know how it goes, but yeah, in particular, this focuses around you. So each crew member participating in the wrap-up plays out his own individual establishment flashback. So you set up some cool thing that you did that's going to help the mastermind out or tilt the odds in the crew's favor. The mastermind player can suggest an idea, but it's best if the other player uses what's already happened on the job to think of the scene on their own. So we go around the table, each player describes the flashback, they spend a plot point each to take part, and the mastermind can spend the plot point for the player, in which case Scrim would give the mastermind die to that player. So if the mastermind spends the plot point for the player, you're adding your mastermind die to their roll.
Got it.
If the player does it on their own, then they don't get the mastermind die. So it kind of incentivizes the mastermind to like hoard onto their plot points until the end, so that they can be like, bam, bam, bam. Look at my chess moves, my
Ta-da!
gambit.
This happened exactly as I planned it.
Yes. So in almost every case, crew member is the active party and sets the stakes, and then the fixer rolls the appropriate response, right? And so then if the fixer raises the stakes, the crew members' efforts didn't have any real effect. If I fail to raise the stakes, then you give the mastermind a D6 asset, or you can step up an existing asset by 1. And stepping up means you go from a D6 to a D8, or a D8 to a D10, a D10 to a D12. So no asset can be higher than a D12. Question so far on that?
So this happens right before we wrap everything up, and then we've got kind of one last push to get everything done.
Right. It's like a it's basically like this is where all of the Like, wait, you know what? You know, like at the end, like, wait, but how did they get this past the security? Yeah, how did they get this past security? That's not possible. And then you do the flashback of how it happened.
Yeah. It does say that there are wrap-up flashbacks in the middle of the job, though.
Yeah.
There can be, but that's like in a really weird situation where you took the mark down early, and then you found out the mark isn't actually the mark, and you have to go and set up the bigger job. Yeah, that'll be fun. Of note, during any of these wrap-up flashback scenes, complications, like the ones and stuff, they do not count. They just get left out of the result.
Okay.
So no complications happen during that time. And then once everybody but the mastermind has had a shot in setting up the big reveal, it's the mastermind's turn. You would roll appropriate attribute, usually intelligence or alertness, plus your mastermind. And you also add in all of the assets the crew produced for her.
Oh.
And any that were already out there. And then the fixer then rolls for the mark, throwing in as many complications and other things that weigh in the mark's favor. This is no time for me to be timid. So it's like giant dice roll versus giant dice roll.
Yeah, that's a massive roll.
And then we figure out who won. Now, despite that, even if the fixer raises the stakes, it says the mark's gonna get away with it almost. See, the crew has done enough to blow the lid off of the mark's plans, expose the client's grievances, or spoil the whole arrangement. The rub is that the mark's not going to face his accuser. Luckily, there's always the next job where the crew goes up against the mark in a different location with a new caper. So basically, bottom line is the client will end up with some good news, even if it's not the outcome that the crew wanted. So that final, but otherwise, like if you succeed that role, mastermind, then not only does the plan unravel, you also get like, you know, everything falls into place exactly as needed. Everything is like hunky-dory, bam. Cool. So that's flashback actions. That's why I wanted to go over those. The last thing I think we should go over is plot points. We've already talked about plot points in general. Everyone gets 1 plot point to start the job. So I like to make sure you have some kind of special marker of some kind, physical marker. We love doing that on Join the Anarchy. It helps a lot. So get yourself pennies or whatever. And then the fixer doesn't get any plot points because like even though it says handed over the fixer is just kind of like the pool of, like if I was at a table with you, I'm holding on to the giant pool of plot points, but I don't actually like use them.
Right.
I just kind of give them out. So spending plot points, there's 3 things you can do. We've already talked about doing the establishment flashbacks to create new assets. And actually, no, it looks like you could also just create assets at, like, it doesn't have to be an establishment flashback. Like you could just, like Dean, for example, here's a table leg, everything's a weapon. So that's how you can set an asset. There's 2 other things you can do. You can include more dice. So you know how including means that instead of the top 2 dice, it's top 3 dice get totaled up. So after you roll, you can go ahead and it says after you roll, you can spend a plot point, and you can spend multiple plot points even to include more of the dice. So if you could throw down 3 plot points, and now you have a pool of 5 because you have your base of 2 and then 3 plot points. Now all 5 of these dice are being counted in your result. So that's what including means. And then there's activating talents, which is, you know, as some of you already know, you have talents that are activated by spending plot points. And that's what plot points do.
Okay.
To earn plot points. Oh wait, hold on. The fixer and plot points. I should probably know how to do this. The fixer can spend plot points on his rolls too, but he doesn't have his own private supply. Instead, when I spend plot points in a roll against you, I basically give you the plot point. So now you can use it against me later. You cannot use those plot points until the current action has been resolved and the dice are set aside. So basically, as soon as I give you that plot point, have it set aside, and then you can include it in your pool after the action is done.
Okay.
To earn plot points, that's one way for you to get plot points, but another way to get plot points is whenever you roll a 1. So remember, 1s cause complications whenever you roll them. The fixer might hand you a plot point to activate that complication. So while you might not have rolled so well, it still gets you a plot point. and complications are D6 rating, but any additional ones that you roll. So like, you know how you have assets that help you out, complications also get dice rating that boost my mark and my shits, whatever I'm rolling against you. I get to like add those dice in. So the more complications you generate, the more dice it could potentially roll against you if they are relevant to the scene. So I'm basically kind of like keeping a tally of all the complications that you've drawn up. And if you roll a lot of ones, then they start stepping up the complication. So it starts at a D6, but say that you roll 3 ones, it goes from a D6 to a D8, D10, D12 complication. So yeah. Actually, no, I guess it would be D6. No, D6, D8, D10. There you go. It would be a D10 complication.
I need
Questions
to find some good.
there.
I need to find some good things to track my plot points. I found something. I wish, Sabrina, I wish I could give these to you because I found a bunch of old RAM chips that you could use.
Oh, man, that would be awesome.
Yep. I just have my regular bullet. Oh wait, I don't use plot points. Fuck. Whatever.
Oh, my
Usually I
daughter
have
just
a-
got a bunch of little things of nail polish, like a dozen of them. I'll just use those.
There
Oh,
you
like
go.
the minis.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that fits Clementine.
yeah.
I'll find something.
All right. And that's basically it. That's how this game works.
Okay.
Yeah. Final time for questions before we do a mini job.
In 2 weeks, I'm going to forget most of this. This just feels like there's a lot to learn, like in live play.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reason I wanted to go over the actions in particular, so like things that we should note, right? If any of us feel like we're doing a notice action, a face action, a contested action, a timed action, or a flashback action, I have the rules there in the journal for us to pull up, and we can just kind of go step by step until it becomes second nature for us and we like get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. But for the most part, it's, attribute plus roll plus some other dice, roll. The macro will generate the shit for you. Spend some plot points. Have a blast. Don't roll ones.
No ones.
No guarantees.
Or do roll ones, because that's how you get plot points.
Yeah.
All right, so let's begin. Let's see. I gotta change this music. Or maybe we don't. I think this is
It's very Orange Grove.
It's very Orange Grove. So we begin at the Orange Grove bar
Feels very lewd.
Yes. The ocean breeze is and scent is tickling your noses and wafting through your hair or lack thereof. And as you all peer over the ledge and see the singular like one-way road of Ocean Drive and all the cars trying to drive through, but all of them are just like in bumper to bumper traffic, and so it's just always at a crawl. But lots of people walking around. You see like beach bunnies on the sand, working out or hanging out and sunbathing. And right now it's we'll say it's dusk. So the sun's going down. The sun sets away from the ocean. So usually the dawns are really nice here from this view, but otherwise the sun's behind you. And so it's already starting to get like that twilight night look along the ocean. And you are in the midst right now of listening to a client who has approached the Orange Grove after having heard of your team's specialties. And this is a man, he introduces himself as Brian. He is from Ocala, Florida. And Ocala is like this kind of swampy town off the coast, not off the coast, like about 15 minutes away from Gainesville up north, where University of Florida is. And he tells you the tale of he was an ex-employee at Rifkin. And Rifkin is a fracking company that has taken its roots basically in Ocala, and they are now his wife, after having been diagnosed with various tumors and eventually like that have spread and cancer, and that he can't pay for anymore now that he's been fired. Just before he'd been fired, he had discovered that the groundwater, as a result of all the fracking, had been seriously contaminated with hexavalent chromium, and he believes that was the cause of his wife's sickness, and he just wants Rifkin to be taken down and to answer for it. And if there's any possible way that he can help his wife and his payments, he would be particularly appreciative. Now, again, since this is going to be a quick, since this is going to be a quick game, we'll kind of like skip over the role play with the client. Although, if you have any questions you want to ask him, sure. But like generally, I say we just like kind of set up the job because we have an hour. So let's talk about how would you all want to go about this. The Mark, the CEO, I should say this. He knows that the CEO would have known about this and authorized it. The CEO is named William Rifkin III.
So we're going to want to find records that this guy knew about these carcinogens and did nothing. So that would be my go-to. We want to pull those records and expose them. Mm-hmm. And not just that, like it has to be maybe a confession would be really good, because even just documents, there would be arguments, they're fake, they're not real, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. We could maybe get a reporter on our side. What do you guys think?
Certainly. Sounds like it'd be challenging to get the CEO to confess to something like that. But challenging has not stopped us in the past. So that is not necessarily a deal breaker.
I don't know if confession is all that hard to obtain if they're hanging out of an 8-story building window.
A bold plan.
Well, I think we'd look into what his private life looks like.
Sure. That sounds like a hacker role for sure.
Sounds real hackery.
But I'm sorry, I was couldn't cut you off. What particular were you looking for?
Well, no, because I was gonna go down the blackmail route. See if
because I can certainly seduce him and find out what his private life is like.
Exactly.
Clementine.
All right, so why don't we do this?
Your suggestion.
Why don't we do this, Sloan? Let's do a hacker roll. Let's do intelligence plus hacker.
Okay, so that is 10. That's 10 plus 10.
Yeah, and if you have any bonuses, such as your awesome computer.
Yes.
Your asset. Toss that in.
Titania.
Yes.
I like that name.
8. 14.
Yikes.
All right. So 14. I should set some stakes here as well. He's got a pretty public profile. So just general roll. I'm just going to do the basic D6 plus D6. Yeah.
So sorry, just a sec. The roll is plus D8 or plus 8?
Oh yeah, sorry. That should have been plus D8. Sabrina.
Okay.
Oh. Shit.
So let's re-roll that. So you have to beat a 3 because that's something I should have mentioned. 1s don't count, even if they're part of the roll. So you have to kind of like subtract them in your head, and they just cause an opportunity. But you don't have anything that triggers off of opportunities. So,
and forgive my ignorance. How do I do D10, D10, and D8?
So do you press the D10 plus D10 macro, and then when that pop up, you would type in D8
instead of just 8.
Correct.
Okay.
There we go. Ooh,
Another 14.
all right, cool. So things you find out. Yeah, so things you find out. William Rifkin, so CEO of Rifkin is the fracking company, is actually married to a Valencia Rifkin, who is his wife is a philanthropist in Ocala, as well as she is also making a bid for town mayor of Ocala. It seems like the current mayor is not particularly fond of Rifkin either, and feel like even though the mayor can't prove that their industry has been hurting Ocala's ecosystem, it has been a vocal opponent of Rifkin, and it's pretty obvious to you that the Rifkins are making a move to seize control of the town so that they can not have opposition.
Gotcha.
I have an idea. I could use my everyman features and find my way into the company to find potential employee files that may have been let go for insubordination. Those that may have disagreed with some of their practices.
Some retaliatory firings.
Yes.
I like this.
All right. So it sounds like we're making a trip to Ocala, Florida.
Ugh.
Road trip. Yeah. Welcome to Ocala. All right. So, so it's a muggy town. Each house is just really fun. Like, unlike Miami, where everything is nice and crammed together, these are just like houses, land, and then another house. It's very, very spread out. Yeah, I know. For some of you, this is normal stuff. This is not normal for me. As a Miamian.
Also, there's bears, which is like not normal for us Miamians. There's Ocala National Forest, which is a very muggy place to hike.
Yeah, it's like a mixture. It's not, because it's not a swamp. It's not like the Everglades. It's a forest.
It's a mix of two. There's like prairie, and then there's like foresty. There's lots of ticks. It's awful. It's fucking awful.
Ticks and spiders and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. I wouldn't go there.
No.
This is where he would identify. They would be like, this is probably one that we step out of, I think.
This place is gross.
Sorry. This job's too much for us.
Somebody say ticks, yuck.
Yeah, we can reference you to a better crew, I think.
All right. So you say you want to approach the Rifkin building.
Yes.
So we'll say that it's a cordoned off, like it's a chain link fence, electrified, stay away kind of fence. You have to like drive through a road, be let in through the gates, and then you can see like through the thickets, like just a hint of the building inside for Rifkin.
Perfect. So are we actually going to would we be let in, or would I happen to use my disassembly skill to get through the fence?
Ooh, I like.
He is sneaky. He may be large, but he's sneaky.
I also have the safe cracker skill, so we could pick a lock if that was an option.
Ooh, could you bring down the voltage, or could you just like have it off for a moment so I could get through the fence with bolt cutters?
Yeah, probably there's like a lock box with some, I just fiddle with that and flip a switch. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, let's describe how this. Yeah, I don't know. Like, do electrified fences usually have their things on the outside? Their controls?
You cut off.
You cut out a little.
Okay.
Do they have like?
Do electrified fences have what?
Their controls on the outside. I would.
That seems unlikely, I guess.
I think a hacker though could bring down the electrical grid briefly.
This is correct.
Yes.
A hacker could do this.
All right. Go ahead.
theoretically. Okay, so that would be
Same roll as last time. Intelligence and hacker.
Yeah, plus my computer.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Okay. That will be...
And we'll say since it's Rifkin, they probably have a better security firewall thing going on. But it's like kind of out in the middle of nowhere, so the Fracking company. I'd say it's a D8 plus D6, so I'll roll that. So like,
Woo.
Damn.
Woo. That's pretty good.
These 14s.
so
Damn.
So you come across a you basically start setting off some alerts, and you're actively trying to get booted off of the system by like whoever the security person is. And you can't imagine that it's a very tight cybersecurity team on site. So do you want to give in, or do you want to raise the stakes?
Live in the heart of the cards.
Okay, so raising the stakes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Give in, or do you want to try to raise the stakes? So giving in means that you just say, nope, I'm just going to accept the failure, but you set the terms of the failure. So like you get to narrate your way out of that on your own terms. If you choose to roll to raise the stakes, you can either succeed or you fail, in which case the failure is on my terms.
Oz gets to dictate the terms of your failure. Right.
I will try and raise the stakes.
Ooh, all right.
All right.
So you need to beat a 14.
Living on the edge.
Rambunctious.
Oh yes. So what do I roll for that? I'm sorry.
So I think now, because you are trying to evade the, like you're trying to stay on top of what this person is trying to do to like kick you off the system, I would say this is going to be alertness plus hacker.
Gotcha.
Or agility plus hacker. I think either works.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can
But
still
not-
add your computer.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're hacking on your computer, you're using your computer.
Woo.
17.
Nice.
Very nice.
All right.
Wow, that 10 was clutch for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way I'm going to be able to beat that
Well.
with the D8 plus D6. So
True.
Yeah.
I done raised the stakes.
I should also note,
raised.
if anybody beats or raises the stakes by 5 or higher, point that out, because that's called an extraordinary success. It's an automatic takedown
Oh, nice.
in any case. So yeah, go ahead and describe.
Oh, the stakes being raised.
Or well, I
Having risen.
guess if I'm the one that's giving in.
Wow, I would just like to point out how unlikely it was that you were gonna actually raise the stakes. You were rolling a D10 and a D8 and a D8. Wow.
Yeah, no.
Pretty good.
Rocked it. Let me double check. So if I fail to raise, or if I give up, or give in rather, let me see. I don't think I can give in. Oh,
no.
also you get a plot point if you give in. I should have noted that. I forgot that.
Oh,
So if you also choose to give in, not only do you set the terms, you also get a plot point.
Doesn't she? If she raises the stakes and she's successful, that's just it. She just wins. Like it's not, and she gets to determine the.
Yeah, because
That's
I'm just trying to make sure, like, I don't, by me giving in,
Right.
that I don't set the terms of the failure. You know what I mean? Let me see, giving
Yeah.
in. Maybe somebody can point something out here. You need to make the decision before the dice leave your hand. When you give in, the other side wins the fight, but you get to walk or jump or fall from the scene, taking only a D6 complication as a consequence. That complication
You can
lasts.
shift.
Uh-huh.
You can choose. You choose not to leave the scene, but instead shift to another place. So it's like you're giving, but It's like they have like a workaround is what it feels like to me. In case they fail here in this place, what kind of like backups might they have?
Right. So let's see. If I'm giving in, I get a D6 complication. Okay, so maybe, which I guess you could also count as. Am I understanding that correctly? Like, do I? Because the D6 would be for. Would it be like an asset that she gets, basically? It doesn't really.
Yeah, it's unclear what happens with you, with the fixer.
Okay, let's see. Winning the fight. As soon as you've raised the stakes high enough that your opponent isn't able to beat it with his own result, you've come out on top. The opponent's been taken down, knocked out, incapacitated, tied up. Oh, I see. Like, if it's impossible for me to do it, then I'm taken down. If you're the one who lost, that's me. I'm at the mercy. Oh, wait, no. It says your crew members are the... Either way, there aren't long-lasting game effects for losing a fight action unless you came up with complications during the course of it. Yeah, no, it just looks like you win. There, we'll just call it you win. So you get to set the terms of the success. Thanks, chat, for bearing with us. This is why we're doing session 0.
Yes.
Okay, so because I like to make things as complicated as possible. You mentioned that folks were like trying to kick me off the system.
Yes.
When I was starting out. Okay, so I know that standard operating procedure is when somebody is trying to hack it, you reset it for 2 minutes or a minute. Let's call it a minute because that's a shorter time frame, right? So I purposefully did a real sloppy like sneak in, like, hey guys, look at me. I'm walking in. I'm stepping all over your data. And I caused a kerfuffle in the security/IT office, and that is what shut the power down. But I caused such a kerfuffle because I like put the equivalent of a what is it? I don't remember the mock tiers, but a very big bad problem. Have like huge, like ugly
DEFCON
virus.
5.
Yes, DEFCON like 5 in their system. And they flipped their shit, and so they shut it down for longer than a minute. So I gave you extra time.
Excellent. All right, love it. All right, so the grade has gone down. Sloan has given you the okay. What do you all do?
Well, it sounds like I'm getting through that fence, so come and go as pleased at some point.
All right.
Unless anybody has any problems with that.
Works for me.
All right. So we'll go ahead and call that your disassembly.
Sure.
Specialty. So roll that plus your hacker plus, let's see. I guess it would just be strength or agility to cut a wire fence.
If you have the right tools, it doesn't really require much strength.
Then let's say agility since you're on a clock.
Okay, so agility, so a D8, a D6. Would it not be thief in this case?
Okay, so the thing about it is that if you use thief, then you don't get to use the disassembly specialty, is my understanding.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Like it has to be used with the thing that you tie it to.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. I didn't realize that. So then D8, D6, and D6.
Would you rather it be tied to thief since we're on session 0? We can just change it. Like we can change disassembly to thief.
Yeah, I think so. I think he is that that I feel like it's more thief. Does
all right.
So then I'll move that to thief, and that'll be D8, D8, D6.
Yeah. Cool.
That's a bad roll. That's not a good
and there's
one.
a complication on that one.
Right. So if it's a deactivated die, that doesn't count
It's
towards the
still
roll. You still
all ones in the entire dice pool will
I see.
create a
Okay.
complication.
Got it.
Which is why a D4 is always bad. when it gets
Mhm.
added.
Right.
Yikes.
So, a complication. There's you hear as you're like chomping the chain. Maybe somebody was walking nearby. Let me see. So a guard, typical guard, D6 plus D6, just paying attention. Let's see.
Typical guard.
Really
Typical
glad
guard.
that you're not going with the route of the power grid was only for the building and not the wire.
No. Oh God.
Oh, damn it.
The complication is you're dead.
Yes. I can't win if I'm dead though.
Or you get blown off
Yep.
10 feet back like that little kid in Jurassic Park.
All right, so we're gonna call this. So we're gonna call this alerted guard D6. So basically, somebody who is after hearing that the power has gone down, keep an eye on the fences, make sure that that everything the perimeter is secure. Starts hearing the ka-chink, ka-chink, ka-chink of the fence being split. What would you like to do? The guard hasn't seen you yet, but they've heard.
Am I aware of him?
Yes.
I am
So
aware of him.
This is a oil company, right?
It's a fracking
Yeah.
company. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fracking, yeah.
So what if I were to show up at the front gate or door and start making a fuss?
Protester, a picketer.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
A single protester.
Yeah. And so yeah, I'll be up at the front with some signs and start making some screaming noises and not screaming noises, you know what I mean? Like start yelling like fracking is bad.
Clementine.
Fracking is lacking.
Fracking is lacking.
Yeah, fracking is lacking
In ethics.
Frack yourself. I want to ask Clementine, how did you think to make these signs? Flashback.
Well, we're obviously sitting all around the table at after we had just met, in a back room of the Orange Grove, and Clementine was sipping a gin and tonic and wondering how the heck she was going to be involved in sneaking into a place, and she does not like to be left out. And she says, "So what happens when you go trudging through the side of a fence and you just blow it like you always end up doing?" and through conversation she says, "Well, it could be useful if I had if I was prepared to cause a little bit of a fuss up at the front to distract anybody who might have some wandering eyes in your direction."
Marika raises an eyebrow, knowing that Clementine's usual distractions. What kind of distraction are you thinking of?
I don't know. Do you have any ideas? Because I don't suppose my normal modus operandi might be so useful in this situation.
Just keep your top on this time, okay?
Dean, damn it! I was going to suggest topless yelling. It works every time.
If things go south, I can't make any promises.
Well, I guess it works. Maybe I don't know. A gun?
What? Well, what? It's an oil company that's trying to make their moves here in our fair swampland, and
Why don't you go with something they don't want? Use a Roman candle. They don't like fire. Bring some fireworks.
Well, that's a fair point.
That's a good idea, and I love to make a spectacle. So
apparently you have explosives on the other side.
You get D6 fireworks and picketing signs.
Sparklers. Let's say sparklers. She brought sparklers and attached them to our sign, and she's putting pickets in the ground with attaching sparklers to the top.
Oh, you do have sparklers
goodness
because you have a
me.
club. So like bottle service when they bring out.
Yeah, exactly.
She would totally have sparklers on hand.
Yeah. You could have also, I mean, again, practice game. My suggestion would have been arrange for a protest, since like the citizens of Ocala are already kind of like sort of onto it.
That's
like
good.
you could potentially
Good
arrange
idea.
a protest as well.
That's a good idea.
Could have
And
started
you could
like
be leading that.
online chatter.
That's a good idea. That's what she did.
Yeah.
Managed a protest.
There. I won't be
Do I
giving you
hear
helping hands
what I-
further, but yeah.
Yeah.
Would I hear the screaming in the field? Like while I'm working on the cutting, and do I hear the megaphone and her with the Southern Belle just
Yeah.
swaying out into the open? She's probably look on and hears that. Sees the guard. The guard's wandering. I was like,
So
What
let's
a
call your
woman.
let's call your asset D6 protesters. So you can go ahead and
Yeah.
add that to your just off to the side somewhere on a list, like in a sticky pad or something. Like you just write it down, D6 protesters, because it's just for this job. You know what I mean?
I had one plot point right that I just gave to because I decided to seize that flashback. So Scrim, you have it. Give yourself
Up
a
to
plot.
2.
Yeah.
So, all right. So yeah. So protesters are screaming, and they're starting to drown out some noise, and is starting to distract the guard. So, the guard is currently at a 9. Dean, go ahead and give me, since you really need to cut through this thing and sneak off, right? Let's call this
Yeah.
agility plus thief.
okay.
Right, to do the final break-in. Give yourself a bonus D6 for the protesters.
Got it. So then.
What the frack? Roll it back.
So basically, yeah, there you go. There you go. All right. So the
Very nice.
the guard is you and as the guard you notice is distracted, and you're trying to squeeze your way through, and the guard runs to the front, like literally just runs right past you, like while you duck behind something, and you like they just don't even notice the hole that's been like the little flap in the fence that's been created for you to walk through. Marika, are you also walking through, or how? Like who's walking through in this case?
I think that I would be joining Dean to activate my thieving skills, rather picking locks and such things. So yeah.
All right. Is Sloan also walking in, or?
No, I'm one of the protesters, keeping an eye on things digitally, but also inciting maybe a riot. I don't know.
I don't know. If a riot happens, a riot happens.
I mean, the electrified fence is down. All it takes is a giant mass of people.
True.
This is correct.
True. Where did Bobby go?
I don't know.
I don't know. All right, so we'll follow Dean and Marika for a while. All right, cool. So Dean and Marika, you're crossing. Let's just go ahead and cross you over the lawn. You know, all of the guards are super distracted by the protest and like the trying to get through the fence. Hey, Clementine. The suggestion is that the protesters are, you know, after Sloan is like screaming, the buzzing is gone. They don't have their electric fence on. Like they're just like trying to break through. Or like you can try and like piss them off enough to want to break through the the gates.
That's a great idea.
Would you like to give me a, let's call this a grifter plus, what attribute would this be? Probably, willpower. Force of personality, yeah.
D10 plus D8. And my D6 for my
For the
D6 protesters.
Yeah, the riled up protesters, yeah.
Okay.
I love these protesters. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I say, you know what? They can't keep us back.
Inspiring.
I'm tired of them not listening. We're gonna take back this town by force. We got a 10.
All right. So the I'm gonna roll a d6 plus. So for crowd, so like this is to kind of like sway their sentiment to go through, right? So they might be intimidated because of all the guards. So we'll call it a d8 plus d6. But aside from that, no other. Ooh. Oh yeah, 9. All right, cool. Yes. So the crowd is like, "Hey, she's right. This is our opportunity. Let's find out exactly what's been going on." And they're like,
"You want to start having earthquakes in your town? You want to start your mama's china cabinet's going to be falling over with breaking all that china."
Hell no, we paid. Hell no, we paid top dollar for that china. It's like
that's right.
All right, so the chain link fences start.
Frackers do.
The chain link fence just like brah, boof, and just like you all like Marika and Dean, you can hear it from behind you, like just like the boom boom boom, and yeah, so a bunch of protesters are swarming the grounds. The guards are like trying to tackle people and like stop them from getting in. What are Clementine and Sloane doing in the midst of that ruckus?
Hanging back.
Yeah.
Distancing yourselves.
Standing
Establishing
just outside
a perimeter.
the fence.
Got it.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, exactly.
Throw your signs down. You're like, what are these people doing?
All right, so Dina Marika, you are
slipping into my guard uniform.
Yeah. Excuse me. So Dina Marika, you are in the or you're going up to the Rifkin building. How do you enter?
Are we? Can we get some context here?
So yeah, sure. Think you know, slab of concrete type style of building, not a lot of windows for sure. Probably like those kinds of steel doors that have like the little like flap,
right?
That like
so
latches
like,
on the outside, so you can't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Secure doors, keypads to get in, like little swipey cards, and there's the front, which is, you know, like the steps to the front. That's the only glass to be seen, the glass door, and you know, it says the logo Rifkin, and beyond that is, you know, the general lobby of the building. But there's also like, you know, just dotted around those other areas that are those steel doors that I mentioned.
I guess my first concern is security cameras. So I'd want to make sure we're in an area.
Well, the grid is down. The grid is down.
Oh, okay.
I'd say that the time is starting to tick. So you have maybe, let's say, like 2 beats. So timed actions are called in a timed action. Actions are broken down, or like scenes are broken down by beats. So a beat might be something like, you know, you're trying to like basically think you have 2 actions. You can do 1 action per beat.
I'll pick a lock on one of the side doors then.
On like the keypad? I'm getting through a keypad.
Flashback?
That would be Sloane, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Flashback.
What about that thing that she gave you?
But I thought the grid was down. Isn't the grid down?
Ah, that's also true.
The
Does that not
grid-
affect? Would that not affect?
I don't know if it would mean that the
Disassemble
door.
the door.
I don't know if that means that the door would just be open.
Bob's.
No, but there still might be a deadbolt, but
Mm-hmm.
anyway, up to you.
Have been unlocked. You know what I mean?
Can I pick it though? If the
You can try. We'll call.
Is there any way that I can help?
Yeah.
disassemble the door, Misfortune suggested.
Yeah.
Disassemble the door.
That's my go. If she can't
Yeah,
fix
right?
it, I'm gonna get through it.
Okay, well, I can try to pick it. I just didn't know if I could possibly do that.
This is for learning purposes, right? So I feel like this really is a perfect opportunity for that. Do you remember that thing I gave you, Talent?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say key cards.
Yeah.
But if the grid is
we'll take
down,
the card.
well,
Oh, that's
Marika, I'm noticing has specialties and explosives, so maybe you could do like a little contained, like one of those like contained
Small contained
thermite,
explosives.
like a thermite
do
bar
that.
maybe that just kind of burns
Yeah.
through or something like that. I would.
All right, yeah. She reaches into her like utility belt. She pulls out a little square object that has like 2 copper wires coming out from it, and puts it on the door and says, "Stand back, Dean," and sort of does a little.
Nobody will even notice because of all the fireworks going off.
Exactly. So
Yeah, she times it with a firework, and it's like 1, 2, 3.
Because of Dean's perfect timing, who helps her out.
That's right. And now.
all right. So you, because of the time crunch that you're on, I'm going to call this agility plus thief.
Okay, perfect. And
And
then
you
I
can
get my
add
D6
your-
for explosives.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a D8 plus D8 plus the D.
And I'll set the stakes. I'll set the stakes on this one because it's a heavy door, right? So it would probably be a D8 plus D6. Usually D6 is standard, but because it's a heavier door, I'm going to call it a D8 plus D6. So
7?
yeah, you have to beat a 7.
13, but a complication.
Ooh, beat
Keep
it
it a
by
complication.
more than 5, by the way.
Oh, that's true.
Yes. So automatic takedown. Well, that's if we were doing like a back and forth. I don't think there's an extraordinary. I mean, we could try. Let me see. I don't. Basic action.
The door disappears.
Let me see what it says about basic actions. I don't think. Computer's being too slow. We'll just say you get through. But
Okay.
yes, there is still a complication. There wouldn't be an alert from outside, but maybe like somebody is, maybe like at this. We'll say that it basically triggers a breach, not right now, like an alert for a breach, not right now at this moment, but once the grid comes back on, they're going to notice that this door has been, that this door isn't like in the system, like it's not registering in the system.
He'll send
And I get a plot
door
point for that?
ajar signal.
You get a plot
It's a
point.
jar.
You get a plot point if I choose to bring it in
Okay, got it.
as a complication. So actually, I guess Dean would have had a plot point for the alerted guard. Since I chose to invoke him, and he had to beat the alerted guard to get into the place. All right.
Okay.
So yes. So sizzle and pop, and the door just like, and you can enter.
Perfect.
You can enter the building. So let's what is your intent now that you're inside of the building?
We wanted to find some records of these
Yes.
chemicals and
Any kind of records that we can. I was focusing on finding past employees that were fired for insubordination or that may be tied or tethered to this.
love it.
Okay, so it sounds like you want to go to. It sounds like you either want to go to HR or you want to go to this guy's office.
Nobody wants to go to HR, but
Ever.
Linda?
Fucking Linda. Linda and Karen from HR.
Oh my lord.
Janet, it's a trifecta.
Janet and Janet.
So
Sisters of Fate.
Damn it!
It's like an,
Walking in
it's
there,
like an
weaving your
office building.
destiny.
Yeah, it's like an office building boss battle.
Yeah. Why is there an eyeball in HR? I don't know.
Oh boy.
So yeah, so do you want to do HR and face Linda and Janet and Karen, or do you want to go to this guy's office?
I guess we look to I'll look to Marika, and I can put on the charm for a little while if you think you can slip past the triplets of doom.
If anyone can seduce the Lindas, it's you.
What can I say? I learned a lot at the Orange Grove.
All right. Sure. That's yeah. I want to. Okay. So for a plot point, can I create an asset right now?
Yes.
I can do that. Okay. So I'm going to produce a set of coveralls for Dean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna find them, and I open up a closet. I'm kind of like poking around, and I find a closet full of uniforms. I pull one out and say, "Here, your name is Bill."
That's somewhat attractive. All right, Bill.
You can maybe go by Will. I don't know. That's why you have to talk to them. You want them to change your name embroidery.
Got it. I like it. I like the way you think.
Perfect.
All right.
What's overall, Dean?
Yeah. The overall
fit
is
when I flex.
yeah, exactly. You have to unbutton one, and it's like hanging this way. It's just one peck.
Yeah.
Cool.
Excuse me, lady.
Yeah. So fast forward to the HR floor, and Dean walking in. And tell me, what are you doing there as you approach Linda and Janet and Karen, who are in the midst? They're like at the front desk of HR, like huddled around some cubicles.
Well, I do
coffee.
what every Linda and Karen and Janet can't quite avoid, which is appear to be impressively strong and dumb. Hi, is this HR?
Why, yes.
Is this HR?
This zipper is stuck, or it's too small. I don't know. And my name's not Bill. Would one of you be so kind as to help me, please?
Oh, we need to change your overalls. I can acquire some requisitions for you, sir. Just right this way.
Don't mind if I do.
Let's
This is
call
almost
this,
not fair that Bub gets to do the first seduction.
right?
I like that they seem to have misspelled my name and spilled soap all over my pecs.
I want more of Oz as a middle-aged woman.
Yeah.
That's what I want right now.
Middle-aged, like Central Florida woman, which is
Yeah.
it's like perfect.
Oh,
I love
my.
it.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Okay, so we're gonna call this. We're gonna call this a strength because you're muscle flexing.
Okay. All
We'll
right.
call this strength plus grifter.
All right. That's accurate. I don't think I can
Now,
get any
you
both
also
of
have
that.
your sexy overalls as a D6 asset, which I think you should write down
Sure.
for sure.
That's right. Yes.
Because Marika created those.
Pop a button. Just flex.
And well, you wouldn't be rolling hitter with this. Never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So.
Do you want to remember that any of you can also invoke a distinction? So if you're doing if you're using foolhardy or winging it as a positive, you can add a D8, or you can give yourself a D4 and make it a negative, and give yourself a plot point.
I feel it would be inappropriate to use my own talent of everything as a weapon, winky face. But
Pectorals count.
yeah. Having too much fun with this. Oh.
Razor nipples.
Yes. Oh,
Holy shit!
my die-cut breasts. All right.
Oh my lord.
I'm just happy with the D6 for the overalls. But
right.
if someone else can dream up something else, I'm not opposed.
No. I mean, if you're winging it, you could add a D8.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Ooh, complication.
That's a good point. He's so into winging it. Yeah, that would make sense. Would that be possible to get that roll?
Yeah, you can add that in.
Okay. So
Throw in a D8.
D10, D4,
Yeah, re-roll all this. You got to roll it right.
D6.
You're kind.
There we go. I'll take it. 11.
Solid.
11. All right, so Karen, who is kind of a hard ass, D8, but also turned on, D4.
Oh yes!
She can't resist.
Yeah.
You can knock her over with a finger right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Says, "Oh well, right this way, please. Let's see. Forms. I seem to have misplaced my forms. 1 second." And she like bends down, reaches around some boxes.
Further
moves them,
distraction,
lifts
I
them
just
up.
unzip it the rest of the way and just start pulling it down.
It's so tight.
Do you have them here? I can change now.
I see. So you need a different size too. I see.
I think so. I don't know if it comes in thick.
I'm sure that can be arranged. I'm sure I can arrange that for you.
I'm so mad.
Okay, so
You're making Scrim blush.
It's very warm in here.
Yeah.
yeah, she goes, "Oh my, I'm gonna go and get myself a water. If you could just sit right here, I'll be right back with some water for you and some napkins, roll of bounty. And I'll just come right back with the forms. I gotta make some photocopies." And she saunters off, leaving you in access of all of her files, all of Linda's files. So,
All right. I will. I'll start to peruse.
Wow.
How many files? Like, are there heaps of files, or does that matter?
yeah, I mean, you could. There's paper files and there's her computer.
Okay. I'm gonna look out the door. Do I see the other women there, or do I see them? What would they be doing?
They're peeking over the cubicle wall, and when they see you look back, they're just look away,
Okay,
look away and just sip their coffee.
I see Marika like outside in the hall, and I'll be like, "Ladies, Linda said she was looking for the the birth certificate. Could you help her? I don't know how long this is gonna take, and there's a lot of floor to clean." And I'll kind of like motion for Marika to come in, just to get the job done faster.
Yeah,
so
I'll
he's sneaking in.
yeah, I'll creep in.
All right, cool. Yeah.
And, like creep beside the cubicles. I'm like kind of crouch as they're like peeking over.
Yeah, I dig that. Let's call it either. I feel like this could be agility or alertness. Probably agility. Agility plus thief. Sneak around.
Okay. I don't think I have anything else for that, so just
The
2d8.
birth certificate.
Yes.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So distracted. Let's see.
Distracted 45-year-olds.
D6. I'll do D4 distracted.
What happens if we're matching? What happens there?
This is why we need the rules. I don't know. I don't know what happens. Well, you set the stakes. I believe I'm supposed to beat it. So
it's you have to exceed.
I believe so. Let's see. Notice
contested
actions.
action.
Hold on. Notice action. Let's see. You roll higher than the fixer.
Ba wah wah.
Well, okay, but it's speaking from my perspective.
Yeah, because I think technically the Karen and
they set the
they were supposed to set the stakes. Because in this case, it's to see if they notice you. That's why. So let's roll that right. I'll set the stakes first, and then you have to roll higher.
Reroll?
Yeah.
You
So
get
let's
another chance.
I said D6, D4.
Higher than 10.
Okay.
Oh, I did the wrong one. Hang on.
All right, so 8. So you have to beat an 8.
Shit.
Excuse me, miss. Excuse me, miss.
Got it.
Can I
She
help
got a
you?
7.
Yeah, can I help you, miss? And her name tag. Her name tag says Janet, and she does not look pleasant. She's just like she's
not as charming to me.
Yeah, her "Can I help you, miss?" It has like that raised eyebrow and cold, icy stare of that you remember from your days as in Catholic school in Belgium.
In communist school.
In Belgium.
Okay. What have I got? Oh, shoot. Unconventional. I can't think of anything there. Showmanship, explosives. This isn't helping. Criminal connections. Janet is a member of the Belgian organized crime. Not kidding.
You have to bullshit something fast.
Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to can I invoke a flashback?
Yes.
I spent a plot point for that, yeah?
Yes, you spend a plot point, and you're gonna have to roll for it to see if it's actually effective. But yes, you go ahead.
Okay, so we're back at the Orange Grove. All right, if things go south in there, I'll suddenly become Irish.
That's a great plan.
Good.
I'm trying for Eastern European here. Okay, so if things go south, I'm going to need a distraction from outside from you two. And she points at Clementine and Sloane. So wait for my signal, and when that happens, I need some kind of explosion or a loud distraction. Get the protesters to break through or something like that. Can you manage it?
Well, sure, sweetie. That's what we do. We're bringing fireworks, right?
Perfect. Yes, fireworks will activate their safety protocols.
All right.
And they'll all have to evacuate.
All right.
You know about the fireworks.
All right, go ahead and give me an intelligence plus mastermind roll. This is planning
Intelligence plus
based.
mastermind.
Yeah.
Can
To see if you get this
add my
asset.
showmanship to that for specialties?
It depends. How, like, if you were to use the fireworks to like be fake gunfire and like freak the HR team out, then I would say yes.
Okay, I can do that. So I think then what she'll do is she'll give the signal, like some sort of like tap or whatever on the radio, or like a code word or whatever, and then and hopefully the fireworks will go off at that moment. Do you want me to roll first, and I'll?
So let's see. The fixer rolls the d6 plus d6 to raise this, to set the stakes, and then you have to raise it. Here you go. So it's pretty basic. So here you go. You have to beat an 8. Whoa!
18.
Damn.
Yowza.
All right. So yeah. So you get d6 fireworks. And you can actually go ahead and give you. I would say in this case you could just really give it to anybody or whoever's triggering it. Or
yeah.
You're setting the distract. I don't know. That's a weird one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Would I have rolled that d6 or would it have been them?
It sounds like you get it. If anything, maybe we could say like you have those fireworks on a button on yourself. You can just trigger them yourself. Like you set them outside.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I love it. Okay, so they like pop 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 sounds. I look at her, Janet, and I say, "Lockdown! Get out!"
Oh, everyone stay calm. Discord.
He actually left. Oh.
Well, I guess that's
that
it.
worked
then.
better than we thought. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, I did roll an 18.
That was good.
All right, hold on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's not really guns, Oz.
Okay, there. I'm back online. We're all good. Yeah, those fireworks were too effective. All right, so everything goes pop, pop, pop. Janet just dive bombs into her cubicle. Karen is screaming, like, oh my God, not too young to die, please, Jesus, no.
Okay, make a distraction here just to stay on top of it. I'm gonna point behind me, letting her go in, and I'm gonna go over with them and distract them further.
Perfect.
Like crouching down around the trifecta of doom.
Gotcha. Yes. Yeah. You're keeping them safe with your.
I'll protect you.
Your thick arms.
That's right.
Yeah. Good. All right. So Marika.
Off Marika goes.
Effective distraction. Do you want to go through files or the computer?
I was shitty at hacking, so I'm going to start with the files.
Cool. So yeah, let's call this a notice action to see if you. So we'll call this. Let's see. Stacks of files. Perfectly organized. So we'll call this.
Janet's no slouch.
Yeah. So we'll call this a D6 plus D4. D4 for perfectly organized. So a 7. So they're easy to fly through. But let's call this alertness plus either thief or mastermind. I think I'm fine with either. Probably thief, because this isn't really about planning.
Sure.
Or hacker, whichever.
I'll do
Thief.
Whew.
Nice. And it's an extraordinary success.
Wow.
Which doesn't matter. I guess it only matters when you're
fire.
like you're going back and forth.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. So
I locate the files of terminated with cause, but there's like sort of like a red tab that has like a few of them that are kind of contested and that were especially tough, and so I grabbed those.
Cool.
Tuck them away.
Let's see. Something of note here. With a successful notice action, most of the time you can use this as a justification later for a cool asset in a later scene. So, like, at some point in the future, you could basically just spend a plot point for you basically like kind of like bank the asset until you need it rather than using it in the scene that you're in. So for instance, if you see that the marked second security thug is a twitchy kind of guy, you could bring in a nervous number 2 D6 in the next scene once you confront him, so that you can spend your plot point. So it's just something like keep in mind, like, oh, I have this file. If you wanted to, you can make it an asset. Cool.
Cool.
All right. So you find the files. Remind me again what you said they do, because I wasn't reading the notice section.
They're disgruntled employees. So yeah, I find the terminate with cause, and then there's like a tab that kind of like a folder of very special ones that are like contested or grievances or whatever.
Got it. All right. So you have the files, and you just like grab, sneak, like just walk out. Sneak search is the snurch action. You basically grab them, go out. The fireworks have stopped popping, leaving the trifecta of doom in Dean's arms. So outside, what are Clementine and Sloane doing?
I feel like a good plan would have been actually to have had some sort of a guard uniform to help facilitate an exit strategy. Like in the chaos, she really did, slip into a guard's uniform to be able to slip in and out and be where she needed to be to help.
So send a flashback.
I don't have any plot points. I can't.
So in this case, Marika, you have that Archangel ability, right? You would be in communication with Clementine, so you could be like...
Yes, I am also out of plot points though, and anyone can use the Archangel ability. But that just gives them an extra die to whatever check they're doing.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Well...
If I could get my points, I would.
Great idea.
There any complications called in. Actually, you know what?
We've been doing too well.
You've been doing too well.
Yeah.
So, Clementine, that said, there's a whole bunch of protesters running around.
Yeah. Sans that, I'm just I'm really just trying to monitor things. I had just recently dropped a bunch of firecrackers in a bucket so that so that they could be set off remotely by our mastermind, and I'm just I don't feel like there's a lot that she needs to be doing right now other than seeing to it that these protesters continue to stay riled up and don't fizzle out.
Well, you still do have to hit up the CEO's office, possibly. I don't know if you want to find anything there.
I was hoping to.
Yeah, so like it could have been a 2-pronged approach. Like while they were in HR, you're up in CEO's office.
Sure.
Offering suggestions.
Well, what if maybe that's the electronic search, because I searched the physical files.
Yeah.
Maybe Sloane's got an angle can get in on the CEO's stuff.
Good idea.
Yeah. So why don't we just go ahead and cut, right? Like flash forward to Clementine and Sloane? Question mark?
Mm-hmm.
Sloane? Approaching the just the general CEO's floor, right? Like elevator kind of dings, and you are faced with the secretary. What would you say is the conceit here?
Excuse me, ma'am. We're here to speak to the CEO. We're having an audit of some business practices, and we're gonna need it's normal stuff, I'm sure you've dealt with this before.
Now's kind of a funny time to do an audit, given that there's like protesters that have literally just stormed the building. I don't know if you can see.
That's not my concern. Hey, look, I got several other audits due today, tomorrow, and the rest of this week. I got to do this today or not at all. And if you're going to want to make sure that you keep your certification up, you're going to have this audit done. It wasn't my fault that this was waited until the last minute, okay? So we got to get this done now.
Okay, go ahead and give me let's see. Let's do willpower because this is intimidation plus your plus grifter.
Okay.
And then face action, I believe. Hold on, let's look at the face action real quick. Face
I'm
action,
supposed to wait for you to set the thing anyway, right?
I don't think so. I think the crew member using a face action is the one that sets the stakes.
Oh.
I remember that the notice in the face were flipped. Because you are the one that's trying to fool somebody, that you set the stakes and then they have to see if they can beat you.
Got it. Okay. I got a 4.
Okay.
In there.
That was a terror. And I didn't even roll a 1, so I don't even get the benefit of a plot point.
Right.
I just rolled bad.
I'm gonna call it a D6 plus D6 for the secretary, but I'm also gonna add a D6 because she's well. I'm giving you a plot point because I'm gonna call in a complication. I'm gonna call in the breach door complication.
Oh.
And basically it's been it's starting to go around first off, there's been gunfire, right? There's protesters storming the grounds, and there's signs of breach doors, and so I feel like the secretary would have been notified to keep any suspicious activity out of the CEO's office. So I'm gonna roll 3d6 in this case. That's a 12.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been rolling really good on this.
Okay, so the secretary goes, presses a button under her desk, jam, 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 jam. Security.
Okay. So, can we say, before you press that button, can we? Maybe, perhaps, yeah. I don't know. That Clementine and I did not necessarily walk in together. That Clementine walked in, tried her technique, and it didn't quite land, and so I storm in looking all official and apprehend Clementine and say, we've got a serious situation here. You're not supposed to let anybody on this floor. And I'm yelling at the secretary to kind of frazzle her as I'm apprehending Clementine. We're doing a sleight of hand. So I'm doing my wanna buy a watch.
Okay.
And I'm slipping a USB into her computer as I'm yelling and
oh yeah,
maneuvering Clementine around.
I see. So you're making this big kerfuffle, right?
Yeah.
And you're just slamming her on a desk, on the secretary's desk.
Yeah. Quite literally a Kansas City shuffle.
Yeah, the secretary's oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead and let's do that. So okay, there's a lot of things going on here, right? I believe this is definitely agility.
Okay.
Plus, I want to say hitter, but it's not. It could be hitter, it could be grifter.
So the wanna buy a watch is grifter.
Gotcha. Okay, then let's call it grifter. It's fine because I feel like both apply. So agility plus grifter.
Okay.
And agility works because you're swooping in and you're trying to cause a flurry of commotion. And then go ahead and add your bonus for wanna buy a watch.
Yeah, so my question is, do we feel that the secretary is a savvy mark, or this is kind of a simple
I would
street
say right
crime.
now she's a savvy mark given the role that she had plus like the warnings she's had. How about
Fantastic.
this?
Yes, I like this. This is
Okay.
good. Okay, so that is D8. Plus D8.
Maybe she, you know what? No, she would be savvy. Never mind. Other circumstances, she would not be. But right now, because she's on alert.
Oh, I don't like this. Damn it, I confused them. But okay, I got it. I'll take it. Bam.
Oh.
Bam. All right. So you've raised the stakes.
Nice. Everybody's rolling so well, except for me.
I've not rolled very well so far.
Okay.
It's real bad.
You inserted a USB into her computer in the shuffle, and she goes, "Oh my files! Wait, stop, please! Just put them on the ground or something." 10. All right, so she's like totally buying this whole thing of Sloane being the official. She's like tackling Clementine all over the place. A USB is like just downloading all of the files from this computer, like, or setting a backdoor or something into the network, or what is it that you want specifically that USB to do?
So I'd like a little bit of both because she's his secretary, right? So she'll have his calendar, she'll have access to his computer, presumably. So I'd like the calendar and to set up a backdoor so that I can just access it when we get out.
All right, cool. I'm gonna give you a plot point as the door to the office opens and William Rifkin steps out and he's like, "What in blazes is happening?" Secretary's just like
okay.
stammering.
No worries, sir. We've got this under control. We have an intruder here. Started a riot outside. Really, like, just a real piece of work. And yes, we got a real piece of work here as I'm watching the USB get to like 100%.
You and your company's literally destroying the foundation of this town, and we won't stand for it no longer.
Oh, get out
Not
of
a
my
problem.
office, you hippie.
I will take this good for nothing scraggly hippie just right out this door. Don't you worry. No more pieces of work wandering into your office, sir.
No more pieces of work.
He's a CEO after all.
The last thing he wants to do is work.
Work.
Clementine's like, scraggly.
Well, I
Who
never.
you calling scrap? Rough me up a little bit more, Sloan.
And so I like sneak grab my USB out and cough.
Scrab.
Okay, yeah, let's do another we're gonna call this agility plus thief because now this is a sleight of hand.
Gotcha.
If we'd have planned this ahead of time, I could have done it. This is literally my specialty.
Wouldn't this also be
Maybe you
like,
could do it,
wanna
Clementine.
buy a watch thing? Or actually, yeah, Clementine could do it.
She's down on the table.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Clementine, you do it. So
All right, let's
I
do
set
it.
the
Like
stakes for the
that.
notice action. So you have to beat an
Good
8.
luck. I roll terribly.
Oh,
An 8's not too bad.
I have to beat an 8.
Actually,
Would you
well,
call
hold
this?
on, because William Rifkin was the complication here, right? So he's alerted, he's aware, and he's a savvy person, right? So I want to add in the. I feel like this is, again, we have to make him, he's a mark. He's got to be a little tougher here. We're gonna call this a D8 plus D8. He's the CEO, so authority. He's savvy. So there we go.
Okay.
You have to beat an 11. So let's do
Fudge.
Yeah. So we're gonna call this agility plus thief.
Agility plus thief
Yep.
plus my specialty,
Of sleight of hand or street magic.
or perhaps a talent of pickpocket.
Ooh, yeah, both potentially.
Ooh,
So let me
quite the
see how
pool.
pickpocket talent works.
big money, big money.
Let's see. Pickpocket is activation when you're making a roll, including your thief die, attempting to pick someone's pocket or otherwise relieve someone of an item in their possession without their knowledge. And you add a D8 to your roll.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so, and am I using my specialty also?
The street
did you
magic?
say?
I would say yes. You're making something disappear.
It's kind of like
Distraction.
palming, you know?
Yeah.
So
I'll allow it for this one.
I wonder if I can manipulate your formula here to make this work. Hold on.
So roll your. You would click the macro for agility plus grifter, or sorry, agility plus thief, and then add in. There you go. D8 plus D6.
I made it work.
Ooh.
14.
I did D8
right.
plus D6. Yeah.
14. Bam.
Beautiful.
So you palm the USB slickly as Sloane walks you out, or tries to, and you're just like struggling against her or pretending to.
Yeah, you dirty hippie. I'm gonna lock you in a jail cell.
Come dirty somewhere.
You and all of your little protesters. This town is ours. You hear me? Ours. So
I want to initiate a wrap-up flashback.
yes, I was going to suggest the same thing.
Great. I want to see how these work.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing is that everybody adds their own bit to the scene of the wrap up, and then I take all those assets you've created and make the final roll.
Yes.
You each have to spend a plot point to take part. So if they don't have a plot point, they can't take part. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But you can spend, the rule is the mastermind can spend the plot point for the player, in which case you give the mastermind die to their pool.
I don't have any plot points, so...
Oh, remember that part? You're supposed to be keeping them for the wrap-up
I know,
flashback?
but I needed to save my butt from Janet. So
This was sort of a short run here, so we didn't have a lot of opportunity to.
Well, you know what? We'll
so
be
whoever
fine.
has plot points can do the wrap up, and then I guess we'll just
I've got plot points, but I don't know if that's it's really gonna be great for Dean. It's gonna look real one-sided.
Well,
It probably looks like everybody else did a bunch of work, and he just sat around with quite a few
being
minutes.
distracted. Yeah, you've broken the fence as well.
Yeah. No, you did fine. Now, here's what we can do, right? Like, we can kind of say you all make the getaway, right?
Yeah.
Or right, because you have all of the information you need, and now it's time to work on the outside to kind of set up the fall for the mark, right?
Right.
So probably on that USB, you find various files potentially linking.
Because our plan was to get some disgruntled employees on record, get some
Discover ex-employees that can corroborate with the information that we found.
Yeah, we were looking for people who might have been fired because of things that they knew or things that they had been involved in,
or their opinions, and they
And the
wanted to be
secretaries.
silent.
And the secretary would have had emails with the CEO, right? That that she would have been included in different memos of people that needed to be let go. That you could potentially tie together, right? And she might also have had some files on her computer regarding the fracking and remember?
Yeah.
Sure.
So, so Sloane or Dean, which of you would like to start with the first wrap-up flashback? So this is to get an asset that you will eventually give to Marika as she does the final takedown of the mark.
I think I can start. We can just parse it. I've got two, so I'll start, and we can go back and forth. So
no, it's only going to be one. It's one per player.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. So then in wrap up, spending that point, I think we discover. I'm probably wrong, but I'm here to learn for it. So we discover that there are a significant amount of employees. They actually have a dropout period, and we found testers, like chemical testers, various employees that were there for impact drilling, and they can corroborate, but they were let go for complaining of being ill, and their medical files had been tampered with. So they found other reasons to let them go. What is it like? Is Florida an at-will fire state? Because I know Indiana is.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, so they found any bogus reason to let them go, and they tampered with their medical claims. And this, we found mismatching dates. And that was enough, especially after we corroborated with these ex-employees. They said that wasn't true. Some of them even still had existing conditions.
So we have to make that a roll of some kind.
Okay.
Let's call it. This is probably hacker.
Hacker, yeah,
For
I
sure,
think it's
because you're
hacker.
going through the stuff. And probably.
Would it be alertness for finding? Because I feel like it would be one of those things where you'd have to really kind of pick apart the document to discover this.
That might be more intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah, knowing the facts. Well,
Not a super great role, but I'm here for it.
yeah. Or it could also be vitality, in the sense like there's a social vitality can indicate enthusiasm, patience, determination. So like sifting through all those files and getting all of these things. So yeah, we could call it vitality.
All right.
Vitality plus hacker.
Any bonuses that I might be able to grab from that, or this is just flat roll?
Well, I would say you have I would include that you have a D6 USB file.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I would throw that in.
Disassemble the information.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Except now it's not hacker, it's thief.
Yeah. That's true. Why? Every time I told you I'm rolling so poorly.
Oh my
So
lord.
the good part is that the complications ones don't count as complications in wrap up flashbacks.
The bad part is you
Nice.
rolled a 2.
Yeah. I'm supposed to roll just like D6 plus D6 against you, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that was gonna happen.
So if I raise the stakes, it didn't have any real effect on the wrap up. The fixer can describe why it didn't help, but it's better to let the player do that. Own the screw up. So yeah, why didn't this help?
I feel like I'm looking at my options below, and it's just like A, B, C, or D, and they're just blank right now. I'm like,
So I guess we could say like these medical files have been tampered so badly, and like all credibility is just out the window.
okay, sure, that's believable. I
Yeah.
think I rolled a 3, so I think.
Sloan.
It's rough.
Yeah. Sometimes RNG just has it for you.
It's true.
So I'll say that my little backdoor allowed me to find some campaign contributions to Miss Valencia. What's the last name? Rifkin.
Valencia Rifkin.
To Miss Valencia Rifkin. And coincidentally, these campaign contributions came from rather folks who would benefit directly from fracking. So like other businesses in the area who would benefit directly from fracking, but it was over the limit or something. I don't know.
Oh, I see. So like
something-
businesses that have bought into that are somehow paying Rifkin, all of their money is being diverted towards the political campaign.
yes.
Weird political money laundering.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to go to him, but it's going to his wife's campaign.
Yes.
Got it.
All right. So yeah, definitely let's roll intelligence plus hacker for that one.
plus my computer.
Yeah, and use the
Okay.
USB. We'll say the USB was an asset as well in that, so you can do a D6.
Okay.
So it would be so D8 plus D6.
So D10 plus D8 plus D6.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
I'm doing this right.
It was really clever.
Solid.
13. Yeah, I can't beat that with a
Solid
D6
roll.
plus D6. So, right, because that's all I have to roll in these cases. Yes. Just double checking. The fixture rolls an appropriate response. So it doesn't necessarily mean D6 plus D6. I mean, given that they would be very protective of their money, but you have a back door, I'm going to say it's a D8 plus D4. Sounds fair? Protective D8,
Yeah, you can.
backdoor D4. There you go. Oh, well, yeah, even with a D8 and a 4, I wouldn't have been able to beat that. So,
Only just. No, you couldn't. No,
Nope.
you couldn't.
There couldn't have done it. Cool. All right. So campaign contributions. So basically, there is now an asset of campaign money laundered campaign contributions. D6.
Okay, so
So once the everybody but the mastermind has had a shot at setting up the big reveal, it's the mastermind's turn. Their player rolls an appropriate attribute, usually intelligence or alertness, plus their mastermind. Also adding in all of the assets his crew produced for him, and any that were already out there. So any assets that you can think of that you've acquired throughout the job that might assist in some way.
So I wouldn't want to use the employee files. I don't want to implicate people who've already suffered from this. And I can't say we've gotten anything. So this is where I'm a little bit tripped up with this, is that I'm very used to anarchy where I can just generate things and by spending plot points, and I'm not 100% sure where my plot points can go at what point, because this feels a lot more structured.
In this case, your plot points would have been going to other players so that they could have done a flashback. So like you could have given a plot point to Clementine so that she could have had an opportunity to give you an asset. So in this case, it's literally you just kind of look at all of the pieces that have been put on the board so far, so to speak, and you amass your pool together. And like you have to kind of tell me what's your master scheme to take down based on everything that you've acquired and completed on this job. So you have files. You know that a bunch of medical files have been tampered. It's ruined some credibility, but you have campaign contributions to Valencia. So you have a D6 there.
So I can't, what I'm saying is I can't generate anything new. Like I can't say we filmed the guards harassing protesters. Okay. So that's, okay. Then that is all I have. Now, can I invoke what about my signature asset, my criminal connections?
You absolutely can.
Okay. So I'm gonna say that and tell me to stop me if I'm not allowed to do this, that within those connections they are this group is working against probably not his wife directly, because I don't think they really care about the mayor of this town, but have interests within the town that would be not very well represented by her. So maybe some of their activities would be less than legal activities might be exposed. if she comes to power. So am I allowed to set something up like that?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. So yeah, the Belgians in, sorry, what's the town name again?
Ocala.
Ocala. The Belgians with connections in Ocala are not big fans of Valencia Rifkin.
Belgians.
I don't know why they're there, but they are.
Chocolate.
Chocolates. There we go.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave. Okay, I want to also tap my unconventional distinction.
Okay.
And I want to write all of everything out, explaining what we've done and what we've seen, and essentially giving them an ultimatum, like, you need to stop your campaign contributions, you need to pull your wife's name from consideration, and we want a full confession of the wrongdoing against the people of Ocala. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to write it all on tiny pieces of paper, and then create like origami like animals and have them like hanging around his office. And they're like each sort of like an individual phrase, and they have like some really weird like threats on them, and things that are quite alarming to read. And then once you kind of put it together, it all makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So he's in his office like, what?
What the hell? And like it took her a long time to do this. Yes. So I don't know if that's a positive for an unconventional. Maybe that's negative, but that's what I'm doing.
No, complications don't matter in the wrap-up flashback.
Oh, no, sorry. So the unconventional distinction.
I'm thinking ahead. It counts. Unconventional is fine. You can roll as a D8.
Okay. All right. So that means intelligence and mastermind. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Unconventional. Criminal connections and the D6 from Sloan.
Correct.
Okay. Let's do it. Okay, plus D6. And I'm setting the stakes?
Yes.
Oh boy, that's a bad roll.
Now,
I love it.
if you'd like, do you have any, you don't have any spare plot points. That's right, because you could have included some more dice in there. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now that said, you all did a really good job, so I don't have a lot of complications that I can add to this roll. The only thing that I could see is, I said before, as CEO, he's CEO D8, and he's got connections D8. I can't think of anything else that he would add into this, given that you basically have all of the paperwork, you have him on the line. The only thing would maybe be like a D6 for the all credibility is out the window. But even like, I feel like I'm kind of fucking around with the rules in that case, because complications aren't supposed to give me, or not complications, but like a failed flashback is not supposed to give me any dice. So I think
even in the wrap up?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Right? Like if it says that if the fixer raises the stakes, the crew member's efforts didn't really have any real effect on the wrap up. That's it. So honestly, like, again, because all of you rolled so well and I wasn't racking up a lot, like, you guys didn't get a lot of plot points, but because of that, I also didn't get a lot of complications that I could stack into this. So I think that's the way that this kind of balance shakes out, right? So here we go.
Okay.
Now what?
If the fixer does not raise the stakes above the mastermind's player, that's usually it for the mark.
Hey, we did it!
Just
His
barely.
plans unravel and he flees the coop. So
You rolled so much better than me.
yeah, so he just like, he kind of like falls to his knees shaking. He's like, what? And pretty soon there's a statement made that Valencia is pulling out from the campaign. That so the town mayor keeps his mayorship, his mayordom. And there was also a stipulation about a signed confession.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty clear from all of this that like all of the fingers really point at the fact that he knew and that these were like illegal business practices. The mayor basically gets to use all of that as kind of like a push against Rifkin and gets public support on his side, especially with all the protesting that you have accumulated. And yeah, I would say that basically they shut as a town in a town hall meeting, which you all exacerbate. They and we have the paperwork to prove it. They just basically get booed out of town, and the settlements are given in various lawsuits. Settlements are given to the people that have been affected for their medical bills.
Hey!
Yay!
That's right.
All back to the Orange Grove for sex on the beach. I mean the drink. Keep your top on.
Damn it.
Dude.
Every time.
The client thanks you.
No problem. They fracked up. We just
on that one.
We just pointed it out.
Fantastic. So that's leverage. How are we feeling about the system? Feeling a little clearer? I feel like
Yeah,
we
it
still
makes more
clear.
sense.
Yeah, I feel like we still have a little bit of like, but like we've ironed out a lot of the basic questions, right? And I think maybe I should make like a cheat sheet of actions, like just one page that just kind of outlines things a little clearer. But yeah, I like it. It makes things easy for me also, which I really like as a GM. I can just kind of concoct dice numbers out of the air. That makes sense.
It's I found because we weren't getting plot points, it was hard to keep the action moving.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the system expects you to get more, and so you were kind of like, okay, now we're here, but we can't really do anything.
Well, technically yes and no, right? Because I guess the idea is you're either succeeding or you're getting plot points, but then there's like you were walking this like weird middle ground where like you were failing some stuff, but you weren't getting complications.
Right.
So it's just kind of like raising the stakes until I don't know. Right. That said, I felt like the pacing was fine. I mean, we basically did all of this in an hour and a half.
Yep.
You know, you give us 3 hours to run a whole thing. I mean, like you'll have plenty of opportunities to really like shine through, I think.
Yeah. It certainly encourages agile thinking and role play. So
It's very and it also feels like the show. So I'm really
it
digging
does feel like the show. Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah. So, question. I know it's late. Do we want to do the distinctions, your third distinctions now? Now that we know how you all operate, or do you want to wait for the first official job?
Let's wait for the first official job.
I agree. I think we should wait.
Yeah.
I have a better understanding of how things are gonna flow and everything. So I feel like I would play more my character a little bit next time.
Though Dean may have uncovered a distinction that was previously undiscovered.
You know, I agree. At the very least, we need to give that distinction.
I mean, if we can do one, I suppose that would be the one.
That's the one, right?
One to think about at very least.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
Yeah. What would that distinction be? What would we call it? Girthy.
Birth certificate.
The girth certificate.
The girth certificate.
I'm glad that landed so well.
Oh, that was great. That was great.
Yeah. You know, distinctions obviously pecs.
I mean, really, how could that ever be a disadvantage, though?
That's true.
This Magic Mike.
We didn't think of your overalls as an asset.
Yeah.
We did. I gave him a
I think
D6
we did add them to a roll at one point. Yeah.
I think we did. Yes.
Yeah, we gave him a sexy D6 at set. Or
I was gonna be
rolls.
like, it's a...
The
Yeah,
distinction
no.
could be clothes cannot contain.
Yes! I love it. I love it.
There we go. That's
There's going to be a
perfect.
scene in every heist where some of his just explodes off of his body.
I love it. Is this happening?
love
Clothes
this.
cannot contain. All right,
Sure.
add that to
Distinctions
your
going on.
distinctions.
Got it.
Most of
writing that
of our bad guys are gonna be blinded by buttons.
Everything is a weapon. Pa, 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 pa. Like little shurikens, the buttons just fly into people's eyes.
Yep.
Amazing.
Love it. All right, well, before we go, let's have everybody do an outro of themselves. Let the chat know who you are. Let's go this way, going with Scrim.
Well, hello everyone. I am Scrim, and find me here in a couple weeks, and then after that, a few more weeks on Mondays. Join the Anarchy. Also going to be playing a little bit of Kids on Bikes soon, with Bobby and Cassie and Palmer in late February. So you can come hang out with us when we do that.
Sweet. Bobby.
I'm here doing this and also Kids on Bike, not other things very much at the moment, although I do have a secret project in the works.
Tease.
Me and Scrim have a secret project in the works. That's all I'm saying.
Add
me
tease to your
interested.
distinctions, to Bobby's distinctions. Very nice. Sabrina.
This is only my second outing, and I love it. It's a lot of fun. So I hope to do more. Wink.
Wink.
I cannot wink, so
You can't wink.
I mean I can. It's just like it's not sex, like it's not attractive.
Like Lucille on Arrested Development.
Yeah. Exactly. So find me here when we officially launch on a date that I am not familiar with right now, but will be.
January 20th.
January 20th. Yep.
14 days.
Monday, January 20th. Yep, at
Yes.
9 p.m. Eastern. All right. Bub.
Huzzah.
Hi guys, I'm Bub. You can find me pretty much all over the internet as the Bubbernaut, and I will be here every other Monday, starting January 20th, playing Dean, the thickest hitter that's ever seen leverage, apparently. And I do a lot of tabletop stuff on my channel. Right now, I do Pathfinder with Mummy's Mask and Shackled City. I do Vampire the Masquerade on Roll For It, and I'll be starting my own. And I'm planning some games very soon in the wheelhouse of Blades in the Dark, actually with Oz, very, very soon.
Ooh,
Yes.
exciting.
Yes, yes.
Blade soon there, and some other things that I'm working on. I have my own secrets as well. Yes.
So
Pretty
much
big year.
teasing. My
Yeah.
goodness.
And what about you, Oz? What can we
Yeah,
find
thanks.
you?
Well, thanks for asking. Yeah, so hi, I'm Oz. I game master this. I game master Join the Anarchy. I play in Cyberpunk. Red Punk's Not Dead. I GM the Sprawl. Yeah, lots of cool stuff. Right now, this is my one game that I am concentrated on and focused while we move the Shadowcasters Network to new and bold directions, which I'm also going to tease. And yeah, it's gonna be cool. Also, I will, though, be a player, as mentioned, over on the Twitch channel, The Bubbernaut. So follow this guy right here. We're going to be playing Blades in the Dark starting on the 16th. Now, that said, it's going to come into conflict with Rural Punk. So sorry, you're going to have to pick one. Rural Punk here on this channel. We love Rural Punk. I'm sure you can watch a VOD of one or the other, however you see fit.
Yeah, nobody has to pick. There are things called VODs.
Exactly. So you can watch both. But yeah, I'm very excited. It's gonna be my first like long form Blaze in the Dark. I did that one shot with Lang, which was cool, and Bobby and the cast. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm so glad we get to like swapsies. This is so cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, and also thank you to chat. I see you brought a bunch of your people over.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody who came for the first time and hung out with us tonight. It was glad to have so many people hanging out with us tonight.
Absolutely. It was an absolute blast, and I'm very, very excited for the first episode of Leverage. As a reminder, before we sign off, make sure that you can join our Shadowcasters.network/Discord. Go to our, specifically the Twitch Discord. We have 2 Discords. You want to go to the Twitch Discord, and there you can join our community where we can talk about Leverage in the Leverage channel, as well as all the other stuff that we play, and hang out with the community. So we love you. We appreciate you. Welcome to the network.
Hooray!
All right, everybody. Have a great night, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.
Good night.